House as the leader of the free world. The president's inaugural address struck a nationalistic tone, Trump renewing his promise to put America first. Let's discuss with Wisconsin Republican Congressman Sean Duffy, a member of the president's transition team.
Good to see you. Good to see you, brother.
Good to have you in person. So, what was the message for you in the inaugural address yesterday?
Well, so I look at, in places where I come from in Wisconsin, there's a lot of people who feel like they've been forgotten over the last, whether it's 10, 20 years. And that Donald Trump took the stage and repeated some of the messages from the campaign that I haven't forgotten you. The men and women who have lost their jobs or haven't had pay increases. I'm going to fight for all of you who have been left behind. And I think that was a message that really resonated with people across Wisconsin and across at least the midsection of the country. And I know he's gotten a hard time about, you know, the tombstone comment that was in relationship to factories that have closed and violence and gang activity. But if you're in a community with that kind of violence, or if you're in a community that has had those factories closed, you're applauding him, going, thank you for recognizing the problem, and that's the first step to actually solving the problem, to say it exists.
His trick is there are layers to problems. He lost most of those communities where you have people dealing with those kinds of problems because they felt that his populism is actually exclusionary, that it's about white people and not people of diversity, and not economic or religious or racial diversity. And he lost a lot of those communities. How does he make up for that?
Are you saying the inner city
Yeah, I mean, that's where a lot of these problems exist that he's talking about.
But it also exists in places like mine, which is, you know, fairly white. And I think he spoke to the inner cities as well. They go, listen, I know you've been left behind. The old, you know, what do you have to lose? Give me a shot. And I think you saw him do better than Mitt Romney in inner city communities. And now the point is you have to deliver. You have to work on policies that can actually help lift people up. And it's not an easy, that is not an easy solution to that problem. But to recognize it.
That's the danger of getting people's hopes up.
But wouldn't you think that the first African-American president, Barack Obama, would have made it better for those communities? And I think after the last 8 years, I think the community has sat back and gone, you know, listen, I think we've broken racial barriers with this presidency, but have you actually helped our community and our families out?
When you had your party committed to opposition from day one. There was a stymie in Congress that helped get Trump elected. You know that the anger is much more directed at Washington than we've seen in recent history. So now you get a fresh start with a new president to see what they do. Out of the box, he signs a couple of executive orders. One of them could have gone right to the heart of what he said yesterday. You're struggling to pay your mortgage, the FHA, you know, that's your FHA population. You're going to get some money back. Obama signs this thing. The administration signs an executive order stopping it. Why?
Let me get to that in a second. But first, when you say that we were opposition, the party of opposition, I would disagree with you in the sense that...
The GOP?
You had a lot of... Yeah, it's a great media hit in a
Mitch
punch
McConnell
you give us.
Came out in 2010 and say oppose, oppose, oppose.
But when I got there in 2010, there's big ideas that we wanted to implement that we knew that we had to work with the president on. And frankly, he didn't want to work with us. Listen, Democrats and Republicans understand in this town that you get things done, and your dad understood this, your brother understands this, that you get things done by building relationships and friendships and trust. President Obama never reached out to Republicans or Democrats. It's a town of relationships. And I think that's a place that Donald Trump can actually improve. Reach out to people. Go bowling with them in the White House bowling alley.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with the need for relationships. I just feel like you're explaining the opposition as opposed to saying that you weren't oppositional. You were oppositional. You're just saying why you were.
No, I'm saying we could have worked on tax reform. We would have worked on health care reform. Obamacare wasn't working for people. We were there with open hands saying, how do we fix the bill that you think is wholly taxed?
All right, so now you have a man who wants to make deals, who wants to reach across, he says. So you do this first deal with this executive order. So why didn't you give money back to the homeowners?
So let's talk about what that is. So this is FHA is first-time home buyers and low-income buyers. And this is an insurance fund. So it's a subsidy that's given by the federal government. The trust fund that insures these homes needed a bailout 3 years ago, $1.7 billion. And so it's not secure. The deal is not that...
it wasn't adequate.
And it's
now they're saying the coffers are adequate.
But it's right about the threshold where you need to be right now. It's just a hair above you know, where we need to be legally with that trust fund. So Obama wants to lower the rates, but also then jeopardize the trust fund, which jeopardizes the program and the very people the program is there to help. So you want to make sure that the program exists with sound insurance rates for these homeowners. If you're going to allow the program to continue to exist
so then you guys need to show that the threshold amounts aren't adequate. Because right now they're saying they are.
I'm on the committee of jurisdiction. I chair the subcommittee that deals with this. They're not. And so we wonder, why are you lowering rates when you don't have the mortgage insurance fund that is solvent? And that's the greater debate. But the program was never set up to go, all the losses are going to be borne by the American taxpayer. It's going to be borne by those who pay the insurance rate. So, and they're subsidized, they're lower.
Fees. It was just about lowering.
But if you lower them, you have less money going into the fund that insures this very important program.
Right, so that was one.
That's what he's talking about, is make sure these programs exist for the very people who need them.
Well, that comes down to the numbers, and you can present them later, and we'll see whether it was the right decision.
I'll tweet you.
What big thing are you guys going to work on that you think out of the box will make a difference? Where can Donald Trump get the Republican Congress to do what he wants, and how will that help?
So I think on healthcare, you're going to see us work with him. Again, we're waiting to see what his ideas are. He's said some things that are different than House Republicans. Tax reform, I think you're going to see some bipartisan movement on tax reform. We're going to do border security, whether it's a full wall or partial wall. I'd imagine it's going to go to a full wall. Those are all things that are important that he talked about in the campaign that have a huge impact on people. And I know that you'll say, well, 20 million people now have coverage, and that's true. But we had this conversation before, but there's 350 million people in America, and rates have increased, premiums have increased for all those folks. And we have to make sure we have a system that works for everybody. Try to help the 20 million that now have insurance, but try to lower rates and make it work better for average Americans.
Yeah, it's just a complicated problem. Healthcare costs go up. This is going to be a very protracted debate, and we'll cover it. And you're always welcome here to make the case.
Good to see you.
It's great to have you. Congressman Sean Duffy. So, as President Donald Trump begins his first full day in office, thousands are going to march in his own backyard here at the White House, demanding equal rights. We have a live report from one of hundreds of buses making their way to D.C. Next.
Is this someone I trust?
Just trying to keep this sinking ship afloat.
There is no money. We've been conned.
This is a betrayal of everything!
Hi, Grandma. It's me, Pete. I'm a confidence man. I give people confidence, they give me their money.
Wow, what a performance.
Let's see what you've got.
If you think you know who I really am, you've been conned.
A 3-hour HLN special event. How it really happened with Hill Harper and the shocking story of the Menendez brothers.
The perfect family turned out to be a nightmare.
Followed by an exclusive interview with Lyle Menendez.
Why speak now?
Breaking a 20-year silence about what really happened the night they killed their parents.
I would have kept firing until I didn't have anything left to fire. I thought we were in great danger.
Did you think that you're going to get away with this?
It all starts Friday at 8 on HLN.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. And with the best price guarantee, I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Well, come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're booking.yeah.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. And with the best price guarantee, I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Well, come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're booking.yeah.
The Microsoft Cloud helps us stay connected.
The Microsoft Cloud offers infinite scalability.
The Microsoft Cloud helps our customers get up and running anywhere on the planet. Wherever there's a phone, we've got a bank, and we could never do that before.
The cloud gave us a single platform to reach across our entire organization. It helps us communicate better.
We use the Microsoft Cloud's advanced analytics tools to track down cyber criminals.
This cloud helps transform business. This is the Microsoft Cloud.
I'm here in Bristol, Virginia, and now I'm in Bristol, Tennessee. No matter which state in the country you live in, you could save hundreds on car insurance by switching to Geico. And now I'm in Virginia.
See how much you could save on car insurance.
Thousands of people across the country are traveling to Washington, D.C. today to demand, in part, equal rights for women at this March for Women that begins very soon. Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Jim Himes, along with his wife, Mary, and their two daughters, Emma and Lindley. Great to see all of you Himeses. Thanks so much for being here. Congressman, I talk to you all the time, so let me turn my attention to the other half of the family here. What are you all doing here at the march today, Mary?
Well, I'm here. I'm just really thrilled to be here with the many, many other women and supportive men who are concerned about the direction the country's going to go in under the new administration and the Republican-controlled Congress. So I'm
what message are you sending to President Trump?
The message I would like to send is really that I'm not okay with the plan to defund Planned Parenthood. I'm also very concerned about the reciprocity bill that is moving through the Congress, and that relates to gun safety.
Okay. Emma and Lindley, you guys are 17 and 14 years old. What does today mean to you?
Well, for me, I've kind of seen Donald Trump's success normalize hate across the nation, and as a young person, I don't think that my generation should grow up thinking that angry rhetoric is the way to deal with conflict.
Lindley?
Yeah, you know, I think our generation is really the ones that are going to be affected by this incoming administration. So I really just want to show my voice and say I'm not going to sit here. I have to do something to just really let them know that this is what I believe and this is what I want.
Congressman, you're not a woman. What are you doing here?
You can see being home isn't always the easy, most restful thing. I'm here for the same reason that my family is here, which is the new president needs to understand that his rhetoric, his anti-woman rhetoric, certainly some of his anti-women activities, that does not fly. That in this country, if you really want to make America great again, you know how you do that. You make sure women are paid the same as men are paid for doing the same work. You make sure that they have every opportunity that men have. That's how you make America great again. And I hope that today is a statement that women need to be respected and treated as equals, not spoken about the way Trump has spoken about them.
Well, look, that's one of the statements of today, but as a Democratic congressman, isn't one of the other statements that you're already opposing the new president? I mean, he's not been in office for 24 hours yet. Is this the right tone for his very first day?
Well, as a member of Congress, I've got to be open to working with the president. I mean, my constituents expect that of me, but, obviously, given where we've been up to the inauguration, with a promise to repeal the Affordable Care Act, throw 30 million Americans off of their health insurance. Just yesterday, first acts of office, of course, making it harder for Americans to buy their first home by defunding, financial support for the FHA, websites taking down LGBT, climate change things. I mean, this is not a first day that is reaching out to the American people.
You mean the White House website?
The White House website.
Well, they say that it's under construction, that they are building it from the ground up, so we don't know what it will look like when they're done.
Yeah, I guess we'll regard that a little skeptically until we see those climate change and LGBT statements put back up there.
As we speak, obviously you can see a sea of bright pink hats already assembling right behind us on the mall here. Emma and Lindley, have you ever been involved in a march before or any sort of civil disobedience?
Well, I've never really been involved in a march. We did do some activism at my school with regard to kind of violence with the police and African Americans, but this is my first time marching for women.
So what's it like to be here today?
I mean, it's amazing. You can feel the energy just walking down the street. Everyone's all here for the same time. Even driving down the road, coming down here, everyone had so many cool signs, and there were writings on the car, and just so many supporters coming down.
And what's it like to have your daughters be a part of this?
Well, I'm thrilled to be sort of nurturing these young activists, and I think it's terrific that they wanted to come. I didn't have to ask them. They were just really excited to participate.
Congressman, what did you think yesterday of Mr. Trump's inaugural speech? So many people saw it different ways. What was your take on it?
Well, again, I was one of the members who chose to attend. A lot of Democrats didn't. And so I'm approaching this as I'm very, very concerned about the rhetoric. I'm very concerned about some of the things he's saying. But, I guess I wish I'd heard in that inaugural speech more of a reaching out to people that are a little nervous about him, whether it's communities of color, the disenfranchised, the LGBT population. It was a pretty angry speech. It was the use of the word carnage. I mean, it was a dark speech, but look, my job is to work with the president to try to advance the interests of the state of Connecticut and the American people, and so I'm here to try to make a more positive and optimistic and forward-looking statement than I think was made in that speech yesterday.
I mean, look, what he would say is that they don't like identity politics and that he sees everybody as Americans and that Americans are going to begin winning again. And if you buy American and put Americans back to work, it doesn't matter if you're LGBT or black or Italian American or whatever.
Yeah, but let's be very clear about who's practicing identity politics. We're here, and as Democrats and as progressives, we're here to say we're all equal. Everybody should get paid the same amount. Everybody should have equal rights. It is Donald Trump who singled out Muslims for a Muslim registry. It was Donald Trump who made disparaging comments about women. It was Donald Trump who criticized a Mexican, a judge of Mexican heritage. That's identity politics. We're sending the message that we're all Americans. That's identity politics.
Yesterday, we saw a few pockets of protests, and they got violent. There were riots. A couple of riots yesterday. 95 people were arrested here in Washington, D.C. Some police officers got hurt. Do any of you have any anxiety or nervousness as you go to a march that is this big and in this sort of divided an atmosphere?
Yes, of course. I do have some anxiety, but I've heard from a lot of women that they want this to be a peaceful protest. I haven't heard anybody who has said, you know, let's go and throw bricks. So I'm a little bit concerned, but I feel good that it's going to be a great march today.
Well, Mary Emma Lindley, thanks so much for taking part of your morning to share it with us and tell us your motivation. Congressman, always great to see you.
Thank you, Allison.
Thanks so much for being here on New Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, President Trump will head soon to an interfaith prayer service. What will America's new commander-in-chief do to unify the country? We discuss that next.
Is this someone I trust?
Just trying to keep this sinking ship afloat.
There is no money. We've been conned.
This is a betrayal of everything.
Hi, Grandma. It's me, Pete.
Hi, Grandma. It's me, Pete.
Where have you been for the last 20 years?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. You gotta ask yourself, is this someone I trust?
An epic saga from the dawn of history.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
A miraculous journey that changed the world.
Whoever lives by believing in me will never die.
The greatest story ever told.
I believe you are the Son of God.
Finding Jesus returns this spring.
While thousands of
on
people have been
CNN.
celebrating here in Washington, others have used the inauguration as an excuse for destruction for no obvious reason. At the intersection of 13th and K, right downtown here in D.C., just a few blocks from the inaugural parade route, somebody set a limousine on fire. We've got pictures of it right there, and spray-painted "We the People" on it. Not clear which people they were referring to. Rioters also smashed windows of stores. At least 6 police officers have been injured, 3 of them due to thrown objects from rioters. Police have come back with pepper spray and smoke grenades and flashbang grenades. As of tonight, more than 200 people have been arrested by D.C. police, many charged with felony rioting. No reports of a jailhouse ball tonight. Well, President Donald Trump's inauguration is the biggest event of the week here in Washington, in fact, in the country, but it's not the only event. Tomorrow, the mall will see the Women's March on Washington, which is intended to send a message of some kind to the president on his first full day in office. Organizers say the event is open to women of all
out to share their thoughts about his speech yesterday in the National Mall packed, and they're packed here at the Tasty Diner. I'm here with Dwayne, Shane, and Marcus, all from Columbus, Ohio. Indiana, how dare I, because that's the hometown of Mike Pence. And they drove all the way out, came all the way out for the inaugural. You're a minister.
Saving for a big man cave. Good luck with that, Dave. You made the most of your retirement plan, so you better learn to drive that RV, man. So many things you're doing in your life. Nationwide is on your side.
President Trump, Vice President Pence, both soon heading to an interfaith prayer service at Washington National Cathedral. The theme of the service is healing and prayer. Can the president unify the country with his actions and words? Let's discuss. CNN contributor, reporter for the Washington Examiner and New York Post, columnist Selena Zito, CNN political commentator and former New York City Council Speaker Christine Quinn, and CNN political commentator and senior writer for The Federalist, Mary Catherine Ham. MK, does he want unity? Didn't division work for him? Didn't his splintering of parties and exacerbating some of the tensions work for him? He certainly didn't speak the unity talk yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's an open question. There were parts of the speech that I think did do the things that people asked him to do, that did recognize we don't want prejudice, and I think we should recognize those parts. There were other parts of the speech that counteracted those parts. So I think he is always going back and forth like that, and he's going to continue to. I do think the hope with him is that he loves people to love him, and his audience is now all of America. So I think he would do well to reach out to all of America.
And in fact, today at this interfaith service, we understand that a very popular Northern Virginia imam has been recently invited by the Trump team to be a part of it. Are you seeing any good signs that would lead you to believe unity is possible in this climate?
You know, I guess anything theoretically in the world is possible, but yesterday's speech was very disappointing to me. You know, obviously this is not the person I wanted to be elected president, but I did hope that yesterday's speech would be a moment where President Trump would try to actually bring people in, where he would give an inaugural address, not a campaign rally.
But what would that have sounded like? What could he have said that would have heartened you?
Well, I think he actually could have mentioned in a positive way, for example, some of the communities that feel left out. He could have mentioned some of the communities who felt attacked during the campaign. I mean, it rings hollow to me as a woman and a lesbian to hear Donald Trump say he's not for prejudice when so many of the people he is appointing to the cabinet, when his positions, his vice president's positions, are ones that are anti-woman and starkly anti-LGBT. So the words in no way connected to reality and sent out no hope. The speech felt to me like the ongoing dog whistle of the campaign. And I think what he tried to unite more firmly is his people. And I worry there'll be no effort beyond that campaign work of uniting his people.
But American Carnage does speak to this wide diorama of need in this country, Selena Zito. I mean, he mentioned drugs in the inner cities. He mentioned, you know, single mothers who are struggling. He mentioned a lot of different demographic, let's say, communities. Yeah. And some of them, he didn't even come close to winning, but he did mention them.
Yeah.
Doesn't that signify something?
Well, I mean, it should. I mean, I think it was an important moment in that, in the speech. People have been, you know, criticizing it. There's large parts of America that look like that, and they're not just white areas or black areas. They're all over their place. They're sprinkled all throughout this country. They're outside of the interstates, and they're, you know, I mean, one of the things that makes me really sad is if you go through a town and you see a stream of abandoned homes, and there's some sort of sense of sadness there because someone's life is gone. They were never able to come back. They were never able to put their lives together to hold on to that home. And that infects an entire community. It spreads out. It hurts the churches. It hurts the schools because all of a sudden they don't have enough money to pay for the services. And then the pool becomes larger.
But you know, I'd say I work every day in New York City, not with homes like that, but same kind of an issue, right? With homeless mothers in New York City, with children, women of color. There was nothing in the campaign.
Philadelphia uplink successful.
To their reality.
Welcome back, Commander.
In the speech, in my opinion, that spoke to their reality, that they are seen by him, that they matter to him.
Why does it help include that?
But I see there's nothing in that he has said or done that leads me to believe that when he says American Carnage, he recognizes African American and Latinas as part of the damage to that.
Christina's playing on something that is real, that has to be dealt with, which is the difference between hearing and listening, right? Which is he's saying it, but you're not taking it in because you don't believe that that's what he's really about. He said some of the words yesterday But there are people like Christine in the country, a lot of them, who don't believe it.
More
As a Morning in America type of person, the American Carnage phrase, like I didn't love that phrase, but he pivoted very quickly and said that the people who are hurting, and yes, he did not reference specific identity groups because that's actually the opposite of what his campaign was about, but he referenced people who are hurting, and then he said their successes are all of our successes, their pain is all of our pain, and so therefore we should move forward as one nation. I actually think he deserves some credit for that. He's not going to talk like Barack Obama when he's talking about these kinds of things, and we should not expect him to in order to recognize that he's making a step.
And I hear that, but the problem is, he singled out communities during the campaign.
Yes.
His campaign singled out communities in negative ways. So I understand he's not Barack Obama, and he's not Hillary Clinton, and it's not going to be that, but he did, purposefully or not, damage by singling out communities in ways that were...
White House CNN's Athena Jones is joining us with the very latest. Athena?
Good morning, Wolf. President Trump, soon after taking the oath of office, said in his inaugural address, the time for empty talk is over. Now comes the hour of action. Now arrives the hour of action. And he did take several actions within the few hours of taking the oath of office. Among those actions, as you mentioned, the signing of an executive order dealing with Obamacare. Now, that executive order does not change the law. What it does do is it directs agencies to interpret the regulations of the law as loosely as allowed in order to try to minimize the financial burden on individuals, on healthcare providers, on insurers, and the like. That means agencies can waive or defer, or grant exemptions from, or delay implementation of provisions and requirements of Obamacare that cause burdens. So this is President Trump showing that he was serious about his promise to take action against Obamacare on day one. Another action his administration took yesterday, Chief of Staff Reince Priebus issued a memo calling on agencies to freeze work on recent regulations that haven't yet taken effect. This is a pretty common move from incoming administrations. President Obama's chief of staff in 2009 and President Bush's chief of staff in 2001 issued identical memos. And one more action I want to talk about that the president took yesterday that isn't exactly in line with his populist message. The president suspended a mortgage premium rate cut for homeowners. So that means less money in the pockets of mortgage holders. So another interesting move among several on that busy first day in office. We expect today to be a little less busy, as you mentioned. Back to you, Wolf.
All right, we'll see what happens today, tomorrow, Monday, presumably. There will be a lot going on as well. Athena, thank you. Let's go over to the National Cathedral here in Washington right now. That's where President Trump will attend an inaugural prayer service. The long-held tradition allows the incoming president to pause to reflect on the momentous burden he now carries. Our senior Washington correspondent, Jeff Zeleny, is over at the cathedral for us with more. Set the scene for us, Jeff.
Good morning, Wolf. President Trump and Vice President-elect Mike Pence will be making their way across town here to the Washington National Cathedral. This is an Episcopal cathedral, but today it's an interfaith service that will be underway inside, and I just came from inside there, and the seats are filling up from Trump supporters, but also a mix of denominations, Wolf. And this is the program here that people will get. And just flipping through here, there really is a diversity of prayer we are going to hear this morning when this service starts in about an hour's time. There's going to be a Muslim call to prayer, a Jewish call to prayer. There are some evangelical supporters and ministers who supported Donald Trump on the campaign trail who will be speaking here as well as the Archbishop of the Washington Diocese, Wolf. So this is an interdenominational service, not without controversy. Some members of this parish asked to have this canceled, but the dean of the parish said that it is important to not support President Trump only, but to pray for him and to set a good example here, Wolf. So this is going to be a moment where we're not going to hear from President Trump himself. He and his wife Melania and the Pences will be sitting inside listening to these reflections or so. It'll take about an hour to 75 minutes time. It also gives President Trump a chance to see a little bit more of Washington. And Wolf, this is a historic building, as you know so well. 3 state funerals have been held inside. President Woodrow Wilson is actually buried inside this church here. So a moment of history for Donald Trump before he begins his first full day in office. Wolf?
And it's significant, Jeff, as you point out, the Imam Mohammed Magid, the executive imam of the Adams Center in Sterling, Virginia, outside of Washington, he will be participating with prayers as well, right?
He will indeed, and that is something that really speaks to how much of an interfaith and traditional service this is. Well, if this has happened the morning after the inauguration for every president, beginning with George Washington, not all here at this cathedral, because this cathedral took almost a century to build. It was actually completed just in the early 1990s, but this is a diverse moment of prayer that we will see President Trump arrive here in just about an hour, Wolf.
We'll have coverage of that as well. All right, thanks very much, Jeff Zeleny, over at the National Cathedral. Meanwhile, thousands of women are already converging on the nation's capital and preparing for their march on Washington. They're protesting President Trump's policies, demanding equal rights for women. This is an event that began with a fairly modest call to action on Facebook right after the November 8th election. It could become, though, one of the largest political demonstrations in Washington. And it's not just in Washington. It's, in fact, coast to coast, around the country, continent to continent, in fact, around the world. More than 600 sister marches, as they're being called, are planned around the country and, in fact, around the world. CNN is covering several of these marches, including ones in New York, Boston, and London. Let's begin with CNN's Kyung La. She's here in Washington. The women and a lot of men, they're just getting started here where you are, Kyung.
It hasn't officially even started yet, but these crowds started gathering at 6 a.m. Eastern time, Wolf. You can hear them singing. It's a very friendly audience, and I want you to take a look at the size of this crowd. For some perspective, we're in the shadow of the Capitol, and this is just one section, just one small section of this entire crowd. Jordan's going to take a sweep of this entire crowd. Look over to your right, and then as he continues to sweep, again, this is just one part of the stage. The entire area stretches much, much further. And I also want to give you a look at the diversity of this crowd. These ladies over here, they marched in the 1970s when women were really fighting for equal rights. So they are marching again. A lot of young girls who are here. I saw a woman carrying her child, and you can see from the faces here, it's a very, very friendly crowd. But they say that this is very urgent for them, that they want Washington to see the crowd here and hear their voice. Their voices are for a number of issues, a number of platforms, but the most important is that they want the president's attention. Wolf?
And tell us about the pink caps that so many of the women are wearing.
Okay, let's take a look at some of these hats. You can see what this woman has done is, if you could spin for me, this is something that really is a viral sensation. And so what we've been seeing is that a lot of these women are wearing these hats because they've knitted them themselves. It began as something that they could pull the map off of, the pattern off of social, and then you can see for yourself, again, as we take a look at this crowd, a lot of women here are wearing these caps, and men, frankly.
Kyung La, in the middle of it. Kyung, we're going to be getting back to you. Thank you very much. CNN's Bryn Gingras has been traveling with a group of women headed here to Washington from New York for the march. Bryn is joining us now. What are the women you've been talking to saying about all of this?
Well, Wolf, right now there's just a ton of anticipation building. We left New York, Union Square, about 5 o'clock this morning. We're now about an hour outside of D.C. We just took a quick rest stop, but everybody can feel that we're getting closer and closer, especially as they're talking to friends in D.C. now, already at the festivities. But yeah, there's a lot of people who haven't even met each other on this bus here behind me, but getting to know each other, getting to talk about why they felt compelled to come. And the stories, I can tell you, are just deeply personal. I just talked to a woman not too long ago, said she was in D.C. in 1963, there when Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous speech, marched in the civil rights movement, went back to D.C. for 2 other marches. This will now be her 4th time going to D.C. for a march, and she said this one is the most important. Why did she say that, Wolf? She said because the other marches, those are about issues. This one is about protecting America, America's values. This woman right here next to me, Caroline, this is the opposite spectrum. She's only been to, this will be her first march. And she said the reason she's going is because she wants to be against hate. She wants her voice heard. And that's what we're hearing just from this small group of women. And we know that that diversity, all these personal reasons are what we're going going to experience once we get to D.C. Of course, again, an hour out, but very excited group of women and some men, fiancés and boyfriends here joining us as well, Wolf.
All right, Bryn's on that bus, as you point out, only an hour away from here in Washington. We'll check back with you as well. In the president's hometown, thousands are expected to march from the United Nations building to Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. Our correspondent Jessica Schneider is joining us from New York City with more on that. What are you seeing, Jessica?
Well, Wolf, President Trump may be in Washington, D.C., but his tower right here in Manhattan remains the focal point for the Women's March. People already going by us. I'll give you a look at some of the crowd here. These are the harmonics, I should say, the women's group who will be singing out here. And these are some of the people who are gathered. This march will all start here at the United Nations, and then they'll head uptown about 10 blocks and over a few avenues to Trump Tower. Of course, that's where they'll all be gathering throughout the day today. This march takes off in waves starting at 11 a.m. and goes throughout the day. Of course, this isn't just about the women out here. These groups are inviting anybody, men, women, children, anyone of any gender or race. They say that this message, as it is all throughout the country, it is all about equality, maintaining civil rights. They say they want to get that message to President Trump. He's down in Washington, but they'll be taking their message to Trump Tower right here in Manhattan. Wolf?
All right, Jessica, we'll be watching closely together with you. The march in Boston is the second largest outside of Washington, D.C., we're told. Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts is expected to speak there. CNN's Miguel Marquez is in Boston for us with more. Miguel, set the scene there.
Yeah, look, they're expecting over 100,000 people. They were expecting 25,000 at first, and now they're expecting over 100,000. There's about 1,000 people here already. Give you a little sense of what's happening here. This is the main stage. People are gathering throughout this area, and if you look around, you can see those pink hats everywhere, just like these individuals here. People coming from all over New England. They have over 100 buses bringing people from all over New England. They have the oldest marcher, I can tell you, is expected to be 96 years old. It's a fairly short march around Boston. What they consider this is a first effort, a first nationwide committee meeting, essentially, to put the president and the Trump administration on notice that they're watching, they're organizing, and this is only the first step. Wolf?
All right, Miguel Marquez is in Boston for us. Miguel, thank you. The Women's March on Washington is, in fact, spreading overseas. London, Paris, Sydney, Hong Kong, all holding their own rallies. Seen as Nina Dos Santos is in London for us with the latest there. How's it going, Nina, in London?
Yeah. Hi there, Wolf. Well, I'm in London's Trafalgar Square at the end of the 2-mile route that these people have taken from the U.S. Embassy to this key landmark. And as you can see here, there's a lot of people converging upon the streets. It's estimated that thousands of people have joined up to this march, and there's still said to be thousands who are making their way through towards the stage here. As you can see, well, later on we've got pop stars and celebrities who are going to be having a concert and having speeches and so on and so forth. It is a women's march taking place in tandem with the events in the United States, but just as you were pointing out earlier, Wolf, there aren't just women present here. I'd say anecdotally there's at least 40, maybe even 50% male attendance. Some of these men also wearing those famous pink hats. As you can see, some of these ladies in the crowd behind me are too. And there's many generations who are here as well. A lot of people have brought their children. Some people have even brought their pets. Yes, they're protesting against the divisive political rhetoric in the United States during this electoral cycle, but they're also protesting against local issues like Brexit as well, Wolf.
And what are you hearing? I know you're speaking to a lot of the folks who are there, Nina, in London. What are they saying about the new American president?
Well, there's a lot of U.S. expatriates as well who are here present among the crowd today. A lot of them also talking about the divisive rhetoric. Perhaps veins of misogyny, they were saying, quote unquote, during this political campaign. Really, here in London, people are saying they want this to be a celebration of women's rights and other people's rights, everybody's rights, LGBT rights, and so on and so forth. But there's other issues as well that people have come in great numbers to try and highlight too. Proliferation of nuclear weapons, for instance. As I mentioned, Brexit, because Brexit has been a hugely divisive topic here, and Donald Trump's relationship with the UK will also help to shape that debate from here. So many things people are saying, and many things people are also saying about Donald Trump. A lot of them, I should point out, as in some of the signs that we're seeing in the crowd too, Wolf.
Here we see the crowds on the left part of the screen in Paris, right part of the screen in London. Nina, we'll get back to you as well. Nina Dos Santos reporting. Still to come, signed, sealed, and delivering a first blow to Obamacare. More on the president's first moves in the Oval Office. And moments from now, Donald Trump's kicking off his first full day on the job at a national prayer service. The president will be there with his family, will be there as well.
Yeah, it's just the mentality we have nowadays. Everybody wants and wants and wants, but they don't want to get out there and work for it.
Hi, Grandma. It's me, Pete. Where have you been for the last 20 years? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. You gotta ask yourself, is this someone I trust?
I get up every morning and go to work, and I work for government housing, so I see it firsthand. It's a lot of money that's wasted. I mean, if the people don't want to get a job, they're not going to go get a job. That's just plain and simple. They'd rather be lazy and just leech off the government, and that's just got to end. That's got to stop for real.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. I'm with the best price guarantee.
It is. It's a messed up system. It's like...
Come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're booking. Yeah.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. I'm with the best price guarantee. I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Well, come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's
why it sucks that during a commercial I can't change the volume or anything.
Now to find out why we're booking. Yeah.
Women and a lot of men, they are marching, they are protesting the new Trump presidency here in Washington. You see crowds beginning to develop. The demonstrations will begin shortly in Boston. Huge crowds are there, and overseas as well in Paris and in London. Thousands and thousands of people have gathered. We're going to have extensive coverage of all of this coming up. Meanwhile, just
what's that woman's sign say? Wow.
The U.S. Senate approved two of his cabinet picks. Retired Marine Corps General James Mattis, he will be the Defense Secretary, and retired Marine General John Kelly will be the Secretary of Homeland Security. Both men were confirmed with ease. They were sworn in last night by the new Vice President, Mike Pence. But there are many Trump cabinet positions still unfilled, as well as the critically important CIA director position as well. Let's go to CNN's Sunlen Serfati. She's up on Capitol Hill. Sunlen, the Senate certainly has a lot of work to do.
They certainly do, Wolf. There has, as you know, been a lot of back and forth and fighting on Capitol Hill about the pace of all of these confirmations. You have Senate Democrats who are trying to slow things down, and the Trump administration is saying, look, they need their cabinet in place here. There has been some small agreement overnight about a way forward on a few of them. On Monday, two things to look out for. Leadership reached an agreement where they will now have 6 hours of open debate on Mike Pompeo. He is Trump's pick to be CIA director. And then they'll hold a confirmation vote. And on Rex Tillerson, Trump's nominee for Secretary of State, he will get a committee vote on Monday. That expected to be very, very close. So some small movement going into next week, but it's very notable here that Trump is in his first few days in office, left with only having 2 members of his cabinet in place. This is far short of what he had wanted and far fewer than President Obama had on his inauguration day. So Trump sending some very specific words to the Senate in a statement that he issued last night, saying, quote, "I call on members of the Senate to fulfill their constitutional obligation and swiftly confirm the remainder of my highly qualified cabinet nominees so that we can get to work on behalf of the American people without further delay." So this sets up such a critical and important week on Capitol Hill, Wolf, for the incoming Trump administration.
It will be critically important indeed. Art Sunderland, thank you very much. It was a busy first few hours in the White House for President Trump. Trump signing an executive order on one of his top campaign promises, dismantling Obamacare, also welcoming his first 2 cabinet members, Generals James Mattis and John Kelly, who will lead the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security. They were overwhelmingly, nearly unanimous as far as Mattis is concerned, nearly unanimous among the 100 members of the Senate, the confirmation of him, and General Kelly also getting a decisive majority as well. Here to discuss this and more, CNN Politics Director David Chalian, CNN Presidential Historian Tim Naftali, CNN Political Analyst, Daily Beast Washington Bureau Chief Jackie Kucinich, and Chicago Sun-Times Washington Bureau Chief Lynn Sweet. David, how much of a fight can the Democrats really put up in resisting these cabinet nominations?
Well, not much of a fight in terms of the end result. Most of these people, if not all of them, are going to have these jobs at the end of the day because the Republicans have the votes. The one, I think, where that may still be up for discussion is Rex Tillerson for the big Secretary of State job, because we haven't seen Marco Rubio, John McCain, Lindsey Graham come on board yet. There may be enough there to cause some potential trouble there for the Tillerson nomination. But all in all, the Republicans have the votes. But what the Democrats believe that they have here is an opportunity to lay out their message in opposition at the start of this administration, to lay out in each of these policy areas. They've identified maybe 5 or 6 of the nominees now that they really want to target and make a message argument against this. Again, it's not about stopping the confirmation at the end. It's about setting the boundaries of debate on these issues going forward.
But even if you have 2 or 3 or 4 Republicans who are resisting, let's say, Rex Tillerson to be the Secretary of State, there are some Democrats who might go ahead and vote to confirm, especially Democrats from states that Donald Trump won decisively in the election, who themselves, these senators, are up for re-election in 2 years.
Yeah, those senators, I think there are about 10 of them, Democrats that are up in Trump states. They are going to be, I would imagine, people who get a lot of attention from Reince Priebus and Jared Kushner and Steve Bannon in the months ahead. You're right. I think there's going to be a reservoir of moderate Democratic senators from conservative states that are going to feel the pressure of the Trump support. But remember, Donald Trump is not coming in right now with some huge sense of tailwinds and wind at his back, not a big approval rating right now. So I'm not sure that pressure is there right now that they feel that they have to be on board with Trump.
Jackie, in one of his first executive orders, the president yesterday signed an executive order to scale back Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, at least taking an initial step. It's not a formal repeal, certainly not a replace, but it's an initial step. Is that strictly symbolic?
Part of it is, but one of the things this could end up producing is granting waivers against the individual mandate, which could really set the whole system off kilter, because that's how it pays for a lot of the things Republicans like. So that is where this could really kind of gum up the gears and start something that's already complicated and make it even more complicated and start problems before they even have a replacement. And so it really depends on whether this affects people's care, whether this affects because it's going to affect the insurance companies. So it really is. It's an interesting decision by the Trump campaign.
And historically, Tim, obviously historians for years to come will look at that first day and make some decisions about what he was trying to achieve.
Well, Wolf, he said in his inaugural speech that, the time of action has arrived, paraphrasing. This is a way of saying, even before Congress can figure out how to replace Obamacare,
how to even repeal it, too.
I'm going to stop enforcing it. I mean, what's amazing here is that what the U.S. government is saying is we're not going to enforce. They can't be legal violations. You can't break the law. But there's so many regulations that affect Obamacare, we're not going to enforce those regulations anymore.
Or at least we're going to interpret them in the most lax way possible.
Which means that plans that would not have followed Obamacare's stipulations, for example, pre-existing conditions, those plans are not going to be, no one's going to be taken to court now. So it's creating this uncertainty in the insurance market, and that the problem for them, I think, is that they don't know the effect that this is going to have.
Right.
Will the insurance market start to shut down before there's a replacement?
Right.
So how will historians look at this? On the one hand, brilliant in terms of rhetoric, because the sign is, I'm in power, and I've promised you, unlike the Republican Congress, I'm actually going to deliver. What we're going to have to wait and see is the chaos, possible chaos that this is going to create. So this is much more than just rhetoric, and the effect of it will take time for us to really digest.
Because, Lynn, you remember, we all covered the campaign. During the campaign, Donald Trump, as a candidate, would always say, on day one, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. There was a lot of decisive action he was about to take, but now that he's president of the United States, there's a little bit of a pause.
It takes a lot more than signing a piece of paper on this executive order, and I want to amplify what everyone has said. The main central part of his promise is you're paying too much on your deductibles and you're paying too much for your policy. When you start putting the uncertainty in the market, and I read that executive order, as I'm sure you did, and just so everyone know, basically it is an ability to have, in the broadest language possible, any official void any requirement to do anything. And if you think this will drive prices down soon for people or address a deductible you think is too high, I don't see how the insurance industry writ large, and it's like we're not fronting for them, okay, but everyone's on the receiving end of this. I don't see how this will drive down prices, get people to keep their coverage, and not. So insurance is a big part of the economy. By going this approach, by adding more uncertainty to an industry that already knew it faced changes with changes in the Obamacare law, I want to see if he could pull this off. No one here seems to think that, right?
And David, we're showing viewers our live pictures here in Washington. A lot of women and men, they've come, they're wearing those pink hats. They're here, they're demonstrating for women's rights, for civil rights. There's a lot of issues that are on the table right now, and they're trying to make a statement. Let's say Donald Trump is watching these demonstrations in Washington, in Boston, in Chicago, all over the world, in fact, in London and Paris and Sydney, Australia, and other places as well. I'm sure he's looking at this and saying to himself, what?
He's saying to himself, probably, I want to get on with things. I don't think this... if Donald Trump is wise, he's going to go to that National Prayer Service this morning. He's going to keep his head focused on his mission. Yesterday was his day. As he said, it's time to get to work. Today, we see the opposition in full force, the resistance. We know that he did not win the popular vote. There's a large swath of the country out there very concerned about the Trump presidency. Today, they get to express that out in force in numbers. Donald Trump would be wise not to get distracted by that, I think, since he clearly has a different task in front of him right now.
And this is not the first time there have been demonstrations here in the United States as a new president takes office.
On our money in 2020, we're going to have the symbol of one great one. In 1913, there was a women's march, a suffragette march, the day before Woodrow Wilson's inauguration in March of 1913. That's the first great, if you will, counter inaugural march. But I want to stress something else. Yesterday, President Trump talked about the people. He didn't define the people, except he meant the American people. Today, the American people are speaking. It may not be the people he was speaking to, but it's the American people. So what we're seeing is let's not define populism one way or the other. Yesterday, he had an opportunity to give us a broad view of populism. There's a lot of populism in America, and you're going to see some of it today in the streets.
And may I underscore that? I've covered, and we all have, a lot of demonstrations, and if people could see behind us, we have a view. This is extraordinary to see this happening because this is kind of organically organized. This has not been months in the making. This doesn't have a lot of professional organizers who have been putting on a stream of press conferences. So just like we might have missed, we press writ large, all the people who are coming to the Trump rallies early on. Maybe this is the other side.
And we'll see if this continues. I mean, that's the test, right? Because I remember when the Tea Party movement was forming, and you saw it start at town halls, and then all of a sudden they were in front of the Capitol, and they were here all the time, and they were marching, and they created a political movement that now it's very much in charge. So it really will be interesting to see as this year goes on if they can organize and if this is something that becomes very much part of the political climate.
All right, guys, everybody stand by. David, Tim, Jackie, and Lynn. We have much more coming up. We're also getting ready to hear from at the National Cathedral. There will be a prayer service there. President Trump set to leave the White House for the National Prayer Service at the National Cathedral. Only moments from now, we'll have extensive live coverage of that. And we're following the thousands and thousands of people who are already here getting ready to march in Washington. What can the new president do to heal a major divide? We'll be right back.
Is this someone I trust?
Just trying to keep this sinking ship afloat.
There is no money. We've been conned.
This is a betrayal of everything.
Hi, Grandma. It's me, Pete. I'm a confidence man. And I give people confidence, they give me their money.
Wow, what a performance.
Let's see what you've got.
If you think you know who I really am, you've been conned.
An epic saga from the dawn of history.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
A miraculous journey that changed the world.
Whoever lives by believing in me will never die.
The greatest story ever told.
I believe you are the Son of God.
Finding Jesus returns this spring on CNN.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. And with the best price guarantee, I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Well, come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're booking.yeah.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. And with the best price guarantee, I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Well, come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're booking.yeah.
Welcome back to our special coverage. Take a look at this. We're looking at some live pictures coming in from Boston and London. More live pictures coming in from Paris and elsewhere around the world. Men and women, they're packing the streets here in Washington as well. The march, in fact, is happening all over the country, all over the world. More than 600 so-called sister marches have been planned around the country, including in places like Boston, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and cities elsewhere, and there are many other marches planned and underway already around the world. Let's go to Boston once again. Miguel Marquez is there. This is going to be one of the largest marches in Boston, where you are, Miguel.
Yeah, this is meant to be the second largest march after Washington, D.C. When organizers first started putting this thing together, they expected 25,000 people to show up. Today, they say they're expecting over 100,000 people. They are pouring in here. I want to give you an idea of what's going on here. You can see all the pink hats. That has become a very strong sign of this movement, the beginning of this movement, as they say. I also want to mention that there are hundreds of different groups throughout the Boston area that are participating, not just women's groups. One story like these individuals here from Vermont and from New Hampshire, they hadn't seen each other for 12 years, and they made connections. They came down here, old friends who are getting back together. One thing that people say at this march, this is about organizing today and going forward. They say this is the first step toward a much larger organization to keep the Trump administration on its toes. Wolf?
All right, Miguel, thank you. We'll get back to you in Boston. Donald Trump's inauguration also drawing swift and at times sharp reaction around the world as protesters make their voices heard. In London, The Guardian taking a line from Trump's speech and his vow to make America first. There you see the cover right there. In Italy, the headlines ranging from he is super Trump to, quote, we are thinking only of America. And in Russia, newspapers proclaiming it a jump into the unknown as Americans meet the new leader with controversial views. Some of the headlines coming in from Moscow. Let's go to Moscow right now. That's where we find our senior international correspondent, Clarissa Ward. Clarissa, in general, from the Kremlin, from the Russian government, what has been the reaction so far?
Well, so far, I think the reaction is pretty positive, Wolf. I mean, the Kremlin's definitely taking a measured tone, but we did hear from the spokesperson today that President Putin will be reaching out to President Trump to congratulate him over the phone in the coming days, and that they're already considering when a meeting might be appropriate between the two world leaders, although he said that would likely take place in the coming months and not the coming weeks. But the mood here, as I said, is definitely positive. We heard one Russian lawmaker who was a big part of the Russian TV inauguration coverage throughout the night. He took to Twitter and wrote, after Mr. Trump's inauguration, his meeting with President Putin will be the most important event in world politics, a defining moment in history. You can see there's a sense here that it could be a potential new partnership, a potential new world order, Wolf. Now, of course, as you mentioned, certainly not everybody internationally is celebrating. Quite to the contrary, we are seeing those protests taking place in cities across the globe. In terms of world leaders, we've seen a lot of the traditional boilerplate notes of congratulations, which are to be expected. But I do think, Wolf, that there's a deep sense of anxiety, and the Guardian headline really isolated it. From now on, America only first. World leaders are now watching and waiting very closely to see how President Trump will engage with the rest of the world and to what extent America will really continue to lead the rest of the world. So a lot of anxiety and apprehension, but here in Moscow, sort of measured but positive attitude. Wolf?
Measured but positive. Clarissa, was there any specific reaction in Moscow to the inaugural address the new president delivered yesterday?
There hasn't been officially a specific reaction. What everybody keeps saying from the Kremlin is that it's too early to see what the policies will actually be. But I think unofficially, there's definitely a sense that they like the tone that they're hearing from President Donald Trump. They like those notes of nationalism. They like those notes of populism. And there really is a belief among some that perhaps President Putin and President Trump together could start together kind of carving out a new world order, a new ideology as we move forward. Wolf?
Clarissa Ward in Moscow for us. Clarissa, thank you. Still to come any moment now, the new president will be on his way to a national prayer service here in Washington. You're looking at live pictures from the National Cathedral in Washington. The president will be leaving the White House with his family and the vice president and the vice president's family as well. They'll be heading over to the National Cathedral. This is a tradition for every new American president. Also coming up, very different story. Dozens of Democrats boycotted his inauguration, but what will it take for them to actually work with the new American president? Democratic Congressman Luis Gutierrez, he's next.
Hi, Grandma. It's me, Pete. Where have you been for the last 20 years? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. You gotta ask yourself, is this someone I trust. Hi, Grandma. It's me, Pete. Where have you been for the last 20 years? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. You gotta ask yourself, is this someone I trust?
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. And with the best price guarantee, I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're Booking.yeah.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. And with the best price guarantee, I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're Booking.yeah.
When it comes to healthcare, seconds can mean the difference between life and death.
For Partners in Health, time is life. We have 18,000 people around the world. The Microsoft Cloud helps our entire staff stay connected and work together in real time to help those that need it.
The ability to collaborate changes how we work. What we do together changes how we live.
So graceful.
Poetry in motion.
And there it is, the baby bird.
A sumo wrestler figure skating? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Heather saved by switching to Geico.
Marchers have gathered all over the country, indeed around the world. We've got pictures coming in from here in Washington, D.C., in Boston. Thousands of people have gathered already in London as well. All of this happening on this first full day for the new American president. I want to quickly go over to the National Cathedral here in Washington, D.C. That's where President Trump will attend an inaugural prayer service that's coming up shortly. The long-held tradition allows an incoming American president to pause and reflect on the momentous burden that he now carries. Our senior Washington correspondent, Jeff Zeleny, is on the scene for us over there. Jeff, once again, I take it the Vice President, Mike Pence, he's almost there or about to arrive?
He is indeed, Wolf. Vice President Mike Pence will be arriving here at the National Cathedral very shortly. And it is a short trip for him, Wolf. He also spent the first night at his new home. That's the Naval Observatory here in Northwest Washington, really just a few blocks from the National Cathedral here. And Mike Pence will be arriving, and he'll be followed a short time later by Donald Trump and Melania Trump and other members of the Trump family. And Wolf, we've been watching people arrive here at the church really for the last hour or so, filling up. This is a very historic cathedral, place in history, and Mike Pence will be taking his position here, followed by Donald Trump for this interfaith service, scheduled to start, Wolf, at the top of the hour.
And almost all the faiths are being represented during the course of the service, right?
Indeed, Wolf. We are going to hear a Muslim prayer, a Jewish prayer, a Catholic prayer, other things. They'll be reading from the book of Romans. This is really an interfaith service, and we're not going to hear from any politicians at this. We're not going to hear from the president or the vice president, at least they're not scheduled to speak. This is a moment of song and prayer and listening. And Wolf, as we've seen these protests here in Washington and around the world as well, I should also point out that that there was some controversy here as well about the decision to allow this to happen here. But the Reverend here at the National Cathedral says they are praying for Donald Trump and trying to show a message and a lesson for the country as well here with this interfaith service, Wolf.
Yes, 24 hours or so ago, the then president-elect Donald Trump, he also began the day with a prayer service at a church here in Washington. All right, Jeff, we're going to get back to you shortly. Moments after taking office, the document signing actually began for the new American president. Following Washington tradition, he used several pens to sign the proclamations and formal cabinet nominations. Prominent Democrats were at his side for this initial signing ceremony, including Nancy Pelosi. We saw in Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader in the Senate. Congressman Luis Gutierrez of Illinois was one of the dozens of Democratic members of the House of Representatives who boycotted the inauguration. Congressman Gutierrez is joining us right now. Any second thoughts about that decision?
It all makes perfect sense now.
You decided, you and about, 60 other Democrats, that you didn't want to even be seen there.
I came on CNN on December 2nd, had a conversation with Allison that morning, and I said, I'm not coming.
Because
I had a conversation with my wife, and she said, honey, we're going, but we're not going to the inauguration. We're going to go to the march. And I thought, yes, that is what we should do. Because, Wolf, I cannot erase from my mind, I cannot erase from my memory the kinds of terrible, disgusting, despicable things that Donald Trump said about women that he's never apologized for, that he said he was going to take the 12 women, he was going to sue them. I can't, and then look at my two wonderful daughters who I've been blessed with, and my wife, and look at women in the eyes, and have stood next to a man and somehow said, okay, that's normal in America. It's okay to say you're going to make a Muslim registry, that what you're going to do, I have a grandson. His dad is of Mexican descent, and his mom Puerto Rican descent. For your viewers, we don't all come from the same country. And he said to me, he said, Grandpa, I feel real Puerto Rican in this arm and real Mexican, but right here I'm 100% American. I have to stand up for his legitimacy, right, and his patrimony as being an American, and not allow him to be defined as a criminal, a murderer, a rapist, and a drug dealer.
But now he is the president of the United States. Mike Pence is the vice president of the United States. You're a member of the House of Representatives. There will be areas, I assume, that you will want to work with the new administration to help your constituents and help the American people. Where are those areas?
Well, first of all, I'm going to help the American people by marching with my wife today here in Washington, D.C., and by saying no to this normalization of this very ugly, hateful rhetoric. Number one, we have to stand up first for the foundation of our democracy. Number one, when those moments come, look, well, no one has worked more closely with members of the other side of the aisle. It was with Kennedy and McCain in 2004 that I worked with in introducing immigration legislation. 2013 in March, I was with Paul Ryan in Chicago talking about immigration. So we've worked together on legislation and had common. But you know what? When I came to the inauguration of George Bush, I didn't feel it was a threat to the very fabric of American democracy as I felt this presidency is. So when those occasions occur, here's what I've said. Donald Trump has to earn my respect, has to earn my being reciprocal. He hasn't done that yet. What he said about me and others like me. So when he spoke yesterday and he said, America first, right? I said, did he include me? Did he include my grandson?
He said he wanted to include everyone.
Yeah, but that's not the way it felt yesterday. It's not the way it felt yesterday. Yesterday it felt so distant. When you say that a community, and this is fact, right? He came down to announce his presidency of the United States. Did he say, I'm going to be president and make sure every kid goes to college? I'm going to be president and reduce crime? I'm going to be president and make housing bountiful and employment? No, he came down and said, Mexicans are murderers, rapists, and drug dealers, and there's a few good ones, but we're going to get rid of them and get them out of our country.
He said he wants to stop the carnage that's going on, including there's a lot of carnage going on in Chicago. The deaths.
Then he can come to Chicago and show us his plan. And if there is a plan that reduces the crime and the carnage in the city of Chicago, he's welcome to do that. But today, I'm going to stand up for the democracy that is America. Look, well, when you start where I started, right? When you start where my mom and dad started with nothing in this country, you know, a coat that was put on their backs at the local church, you have a great degree of pride and of love and of admiration for this country, and I want to fight for that.
It is a great country. All of us agree on that. Congressman Gutierrez,
Thank you.
as usual. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Will.
Still to come, protesters hitting the streets here in Washington and indeed around the country and the world. How do you keep a city safe? I'll speak with a former Washington, D.C. police chief. We'll discuss when we come back.
I'm a confidence man. I give people confidence, they give me their money.
Wow, what a performance.
Let's see what you've got. If you think you know who I really am, you've been conned. I'm a confidence man. I give people confidence, they give me their money.
Wow, what a performance.
Let's see what you've got. If you think you know who I really am, you've been conned.
An epic saga from the dawn of history.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
A miraculous journey that changed the world.
Whoever lives by believing in me will never die.
The greatest story ever told.
I believe you are the Son of God.
Finding Jesus returns this spring on CNN.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. And with the best price guarantee, I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Well, come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're Booking.yeah.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it. And with the best price guarantee, I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Well, come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're Booking.yeah.
There are 2 billion people who don't have access to basic banking, but that is changing.
At Temenos, with the Microsoft Cloud, we can enable a banker to travel to the most remote locations with nothing but a phone and a tablet.
Everywhere where there's a phone, you have a bank. Now a person is able to start a business and employ somebody for the first time.
The Microsoft Cloud helped us to bring banking to 10 million people in just 2 years.
It's transforming our world.
So graceful.
Poetry in motion.
And there it is, the baby bird.
A sumo wrestler figure skating? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Heather saved by switching to Geico.
Once again, marchers getting ready to march here in Washington, D.C., in Boston, around the country, and indeed around the world. Large crowds already gathering. We're going to have extensive live coverage. The speakers getting ready for these marches as well. The Women's March on Washington is set to begin actually in a few minutes. They're getting started in other cities as well around the country. I want to bring in CNN's law enforcement analyst, the former Washington, D.C. Police Chief Charles Ramsey, who's joining us after yesterday's violent clashes here in Washington. Chief, how does a city like Washington, D.C. prepare? Because potentially there could be some more. A few hundred people were arrested yesterday.
Yeah, about 230 were arrested yesterday, but today is going to be totally different. Today is going to be, the biggest challenge is going to be crowd control and traffic control. Because when you have large numbers of people, you obviously have to reroute traffic around them. That's the biggest challenge for police. I think today is going to be a very peaceful demonstration, unlike a very few number of people yesterday.
What happened yesterday? Why did it get so ugly?
Well, you had some people who came with the intent of causing problems. I don't even call them demonstrators. I don't give them the honor of being called a demonstrator. They're folks who just came in to commit acts of vandalism and so forth. They were actually charged with rioting, a felony here, so it's no joke.
At what point do the police decide that you got to use tear gas?
Well, they didn't use tear gas yesterday. They used pepper spray.
Yes, pepper spray could be pretty irritating
Yeah,
too.
but they had to break the crowd up, and because they were getting very rowdy, they broke out a lot of windows. They set a car on fire. You know, so it got pretty bad, and you have to quell it as quickly as you can.
And the thousands of people who are gathering today for this march in Washington, almost all of them will do it very peacefully.
Right.
But there will be, I assume, and police have to worry about this, an agitator here or there.
Well, we'll be concerned about it, but to be honest with you, I don't think that you're going to have that problem today. Yesterday was a whole different dynamic, and the majority of people demonstrating yesterday were peacefully demonstrating.
Yes, they
It was
were.
just a very small group that started off with the intent of causing problems.
There are a lot of people, a lot of Americans right now who are very uneasy about the new administration, and presumably that's going to continue for a while, potentially causing headaches for police chiefs. You're a former police chief in Philadelphia, here in Washington. You have to prepare for that kind of scenario.
I think it's going to be a long year. I think we're going to see a lot of demonstrations. Of course, the Metropolitan Police in Washington, there really aren't any departments that handle crowds better than they do because they do it so often. Philadelphia is another great example. But we're going to have our hands full this year in law enforcement because I do believe we're going to have a lot of demonstrations take place.
So do you just do training exercises? Is that what the police are going to be doing?
Training exercises, again, emphasizing people's First Amendment right to protest, making sure that our job is to see to it they can peacefully protest, deal with counter-demonstrators, make sure the regular workflow of a city takes place uninterrupted, or at least as uninterrupted as possible. So it's challenging, but it's all doable. My biggest concern is the whole issue of police reform, and hopefully that does not get lost, because criminal justice reform, police reform still needs to move forward. So I'm interested in seeing just how that plays out.
Is it moving forward?
Well, it was under the previous administration. Hopefully this administration continues in that direction.
Chief, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Charles Ramsey, the former D.C. and Philadelphia police chief. We're watching the National Cathedral here in Washington right now, where President Trump, Vice President Pence, and their families, they will be attending the National Prayer Service. We're going to bring it to you live when it starts. The next hour of CNN Newsroom begins right after a quick break.
Is this someone I trust?
Just trying to keep this sinking ship afloat.
There is no money. We've been conned.
This is a betrayal of everything.
Hi, Grandma. It's me, Pete. I'm a confidence man. And I give people confidence, they give me their money.
Wow, what a performance.
Let's see what you've got. If you think you know who I really am, you've been conned.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it, and with the best price guarantee, I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're Booking.yeah.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy to find what I want. Booking.com gets it, and with the best price guarantee, I know I'm getting the lowest price every time. Come on, Gary!
Your vacation is very important. That's why Booking.com makes finding the right hotel for the right price easy. Visit Booking.com now to find out why we're Booking.yeah.
Iced tea?
What's with these people, man? Lemonade. Read the sign. Lemonade.
Okay.
Delicious.
Iced tea at a lemonade stand? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Marin saved by switching to Geico.
Hello, I'm Wolf Blitzer reporting live from Washington. Hello, I'm Wolf Blitzer reporting live from Washington. Once again, we want to welcome our viewers here in the United States and around the world. Donald Trump, the candidate, he thumbed his nose at tradition very often during the campaign, but this morning, the new president embraces it. Any moment now, he's expected to leave the White House, bound for the National Cathedral to attend a prayer service. The Vice President, Mike Pence, has already arrived. It's a tradition for newly installed presidents dating back to George Washington. It's the only scheduled event on the president's first full day in office. Also this hour, here in Washington, a women's march is getting underway, just one of many around the country, indeed around the world today. Protesters say they are deeply worried about the Trump White House and its potential impact on women's rights and civil liberties. Similar demonstrations are being held across the country and, as I said, around the world. We're covering all the fast-moving developments this morning. I want to quickly get over to Jeff Zeleny. He's outside the National Cathedral in Washington, where this prayer service is set to begin. Jeff?
Wolf, good morning. This interfaith prayer service here is going to begin shortly. Vice President Mike Pence arrived just a short time ago. His new residence, the Naval Observatory, just a few blocks from here, Wolf, in Northwest Washington. Donald Trump will be leaving the White House shortly, coming here as well for this interfaith prayer service, really featuring a diversity of religious readings and song, a call to prayer, a Muslim call to prayer in Arabic, a Jewish call to prayer in Hebrew. So, Wolf, this is just a sense of the kind of message that Donald Trump and Mike Pence will be listening to today inside. Now, we are seeing protests around Washington, of course, and around the world. And, Wolf, there even have been some protests here in the days leading up to this about the idea of even having this event here. This is an Episcopal cathedral that has been hosting this for many years, but many members of this congregation were upset about this, Wolf. But this is what the dean of the cathedral said in response to that. Let's take a look. He said, "I am sorry that these decisions have caused such turmoil and pain, yet I stand by the decisions, not because we are celebrating the president-elect, but because we want to be a model for him and the rest of the country in an approach to civility." So, Wolf, this service here this morning will be approach to civility. We'll be talking about that. Let there be peace on earth will be sung here this morning. The book of Romans and Matthew. So Donald Trump will be listening to this, not talking at all here at this service when it gets underway shortly. It's expected to last an hour or a little more than that. And this is the first official act of his on the first full day of office. Wolf.
Those first few rows that are still empty, those are the rows reserved for the president, the first lady, the vice president, his wife Karen, and their respective families, and other VIPs who are still who will still be attending, members of the new cabinet, among others. Is that right?
Indeed, Wolf. He will be coming here with members of his family. I am told that Justice Kennedy is inside from the Supreme Court as well, of course. Ben Carson, the cabinet nominee to lead the Housing and Urban Development, Tom Price, the HHS, the Health and Human Services Secretary nominee, are inside, as well as others. I was inside a few minutes ago, Wolf, but we are broadcasting from outside this morning, so we are not interrupting this prayer service inside. But it is not completely full, I am told by reporters inside, but it is filling up here this morning. And Wolf, this is going to be another moment for Donald Trump really to sort of, accept the magnitude of this office here. He is also going to be hearing from some pastors, some evangelical pastors along the way who supported him and often spoke at his rallies that we saw so much of during the campaign here. But Wolf, it is an interfaith service going back for every president the morning after the inauguration to George Washington. Wolf.
As I said, he started yesterday with a prayer service at a church. Today he starts with another prayer service at the National Cathedral. Jeff, we'll get back to you. Jeff Zeleny reporting. And as some pray, others are protesting here in Washington. Right now, women here in the nation's capital, indeed around the country, are gathering in a show of solidarity for women's rights and to protest the new president's policies. Sister marches They are planned in other cities from one end of the country to the other, and even overseas in places like London and Paris. All this began on Facebook as a call to action after Hillary Clinton's defeat in November, and it could evolve into one of the biggest political demonstrations in Washington. We have live coverage of the major protests in Washington, New York, Boston, London, among other places. In the president's hometown, thousands are expected to march from the UN, from the United Nations building, over to Trump Tower in New York City. Our correspondent Jessica Schneider is right in the middle of the action over there. Jessica, what's it like?
Well, Wolf, a lot of people telling me this morning they actually wanted to stay away from Washington, D.C., away from the inauguration, and instead make their voices heard right here in New York City, President Trump's hometown. I'll show you some of the crowds that have been growing considerably over the past hour. This whole thing, this Women's March of New York City, expected to kick off around 10:45 this morning. A lot of the people you're seeing gathered here, they'll start off in that first wave, making their way from the United Nations up about 10 blocks and west a few avenues to stand and protest in front of Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. Of course, Trump Tower, the president's home, and where he's based much of his transition efforts. But the people here saying they want to get out, get their voices heard, and make it a message directly to the president. As you'll notice out here, not just women. This is called the Women's March of New York City, much like the women's marches throughout the country. But out here, people of all both genders, all races, they say that this isn't just about women's rights. They say it's about equality and maintaining civil rights protections for everyone in this country. So the crowds are revving up here. Everything out here gets started around 11 a.m. They'll march throughout the day, making their way to Trump Tower to send that message to the new president. Wolf?
All right, Jessica, thanks very much. Jessica Schneider's over at the UN in New York City. I want to go to CNN's Kyung La. She's here in Washington on the National Mall, where huge crowds have been gathering all morning. What's it like over there, Kyung?
Oh, Wolf, I've just heard the first speaker performer take the stage here. And what we've been hearing from everyone we've been speaking to is that the message here is going to be told in the size of the crowd. So I'm going to have my photographer take a look. I'm going to pan both ways, so be patient with me because I want you to take a look at just this one section. This is the front section. We're up on a riser, so we can only show you one small part. I'm going to have him pan all the way across now. What the crowd is doing is it's funneling towards the stage, and then as Jordan is panning back, it's stretching all the way down the street. I can't tell you where this crowd ends because I can't see the end. The signs, the pink hats go as far as the eye can see. What we have been told by organizers is that they were hoping that 250,000 plus people were going to be there. I can't tell you if we've got that, but we can certainly tell you that there are a lot of people. We've been in the crowds talking to a lot of people. We've spoken to women who brought their children, women who've marched in the 1970s for equal rights. We've spoken to women of color. We've spoken to gay women. And what they all say is they may have their own issues. It could be climate change. It could be reproductive rights, rights for protection of Planned Parenthood. But all of them say that what they are truly looking for is to send a message to the new president, that these bodies that you are seeing, the swells of people from California, Hawaii, Alaska, all along the East Coast and the South, that they want to make sure that their voices are heard, that they understand that there's been a shift in the politics of this country, who sits in the White House, but they want to make sure that women's voices and women's rights are protected in this next administration. Wolf?
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the speakers who will be attending. Cecile Richards of Planned Parenthood, America Ferrara, the actress, the activist, Gloria Steinem, Ashley Judd, Scarlett Johansson, Michael Moore, among others. So there's a full range of speakers and events that have been planned. Kyung, we're going to get back to you. We're going to cover this extensively. I want to go to CNN's Bryn Gingras. She's on a bus bound for Washington, D.C. From New York City. On board with her, a group of women headed to the march. Bryn is joining us from the bus. Bryn, what's it like?
Hey,
Okay, well, we're getting closer to D.C. We're getting a little bit delayed with some traffic right now on the highway, but certainly that's not stopping the excitement that's happening in this bus as people continue their conversations amongst each other, talking about what they're going to do, what they're going to feel, what they're going to say when they get to this rally and join the thousands of people that we know are already there. Again, I keep talking about the personal reasons that people are here and needing to be here today and joining these other women and men and children really in DC. Mary here, she actually organized this group. If we could pan down to her, she organized this group, 2 buses full following each other to DC, 55 people. Mary told me that she's doing it for her son. A lot of people doing this again for very personal reasons, or whether it be a certain issue like abortion or LGBTQ community, or whether they're doing it because they came from a family of immigrants. There are so many reasons, and that's what makes this march so important, so exciting for the people that we've been talking to on this bus. And I really have to mention, if we kind of pan over, I mean, this is not sure about this bus, but I got to tell you, as we've been traveling along this highway, we've been seeing a number of buses, and we can tell that many of them are going to the same place we are. I can tell because some of them, the people inside, are wearing pink hats. They're wearing t-shirts that you can see through the windows. We actually made a quick pit stop at one point, and a whole bunch of buses were lined up with women coming out holding their signs. So there is certainly a sense of camaraderie here today, and we're going to feel that even more when we get to Washington, hopefully sooner than later. Well, yeah.
All right, Bryn, we'll see you here in Washington. Bryn Gingras reporting from the bus on the way. The march in Boston, by the way, is the second largest outside of Washington, D.C. Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, she's expected to be one of the headline speakers there. CNN's Miguel Marquez is in Boston with more on the preparations underway. Miguel?
Wolf, when they first launched the idea for this march in Boston, they expected 25,000 people. Today, they say they're expecting over 100,000 people. Those are the people that have registered on their website. People from across New England coming into Boston. I want to give you a sense of what's happening here. It's a bit of a dance party, a bit of a confluence of different groups that have come together here. Over 200 groups across the New England area are participating in this. Look at the Hill here in Boston Common, how people are starting to pack in. It is just enormous. They say that the oldest marcher today will be 96 years old, and they will step off on a fairly short march, only about a mile long. They're not even sure they're going to have enough room on that mile to get all the people out before the people who haven't started haven't even gotten going yet. What they want is the administration to know, the Trump administration to know that they are watching their every move. They sort of treat this as an organizing event, a national organizing event, they say, for what they are expecting will be a very tumultuous 4 years. Wolf?
All right, Miguel Marquez reporting from Boston, where huge crowds have already gathered. The Women's March on Washington also spreading overseas in London, Paris, Berlin, Barcelona. They're holding their own rally. CNN's Nina Dos Santos is in London, joining us now with more. What's it like over there, Nina?
Yeah, the crowds are really gathering apace, Wolf. As you can see behind me, we've still got people converging upon the streets around Trafalgar Square, and Trafalgar Square itself, this landmark here that is the end point of that march. It's a 2-mile long march going from the US Embassy at the other end of London towards here near the banks of the Thames, and there's still people reportedly lining the roads, filling onto the streets here behind me. Now officially 42,000 people had signed up to take part in this particular march, according to the Facebook page of the organizers. At the moment, we can't confirm, and authorities aren't telling us how many people are on the streets here, but as you can see behind me, it is packed. A lot of people here are taking issue with some of the things that Donald Trump has said during the campaign, that harshly fought electoral campaign in the United States, but they're also highlighting other issues closer to home, notably a very divisive campaign that saw the UK vote for Brexit, for leaving the European Union. As you can see behind me, they're also protesting for workers' rights. We've got all sorts of people's rights here being represented, women's rights, equality, LGBT issues coming to the fore as well. And as you can see further afield, this is the scene here behind us. It's one of many generations, not just women here. There's a lot of men here. There's a lot of grandparents who've come. There's a lot of people who've brought their children and even their pets here. There's a jubilant mood but also one of saying we're going to stand up against some of the rhetoric that we've heard in many political, harshly fought campaigns to make sure that a lot of that rhetoric, Wolf, doesn't turn out to be fact later on. Back to you.
All right, Nina, thank you. Nina Dos Santos in London over at Trafalgar Square. Coming up, we are waiting for President Trump to arrive at the National Cathedral for the prayer service. We'll have coverage of that. But right now, you can see America Ferrera, the actress and activist. She is speaking at this Women's March in Washington. I want to listen in.
It's been a heart-rending time to be both a woman and an immigrant in this country. Our dignity, our character, our rights have all been under attack, and a platform of hate and division assumed power yesterday. But the president is not America. His cabinet is not America. Congress is not America. We are America. And we are here to stay. We march today for our families and our neighbors, for our future, for the causes we claim and for the causes that claim us. We march today for the moral core of this nation, against which our new president is waging a war. He would like us to forget the words, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free," and instead take up a credo of hate, fear, and suspicion of one another. But we are gathered here and across the country and around the world today to say, Mr. Trump, we refuse. We reject the demonization of our Muslim brothers and sisters. We demand an end to the systemic murder and incarceration of our black brothers and sisters. We will not give up our right to safe and legal abortions. We will not ask our LGBTQ families to go backwards. We will not go from being a nation of immigrants to a nation of ignorance. We won't build walls and we won't see the worst in each other. And we will not turn our backs on the more than 750,000 young immigrants in this country currently protected by DACA. They are hardworking, upstanding, courageous individuals who refuse to live in the shadow of fear and isolation. They bravely took to the streets to declare themselves and to provide a voice and hope for their community. Today, we march with and for them. Together, we, all of us, will fight, resist, and oppose every single action that threatens the lives and dignity of any and all of our communities. Marchers, make no mistake. We are, every single one of us, under attack. Our safety and freedoms are on the chopping block, and we are the only ones who can protect one another. If we do not stand together, march together, fight together for the next 4 years, then we will lose together. Our opposition knows how to stick together. They are united in their agenda to hold this country back and to thwart progress. It is in their slogan. So we too must stand united. If we, the millions of Americans who believe in common decency, in a greater good, in justice for all, if we fall into the trap of separating ourselves by our causes and our labels, then we will weaken our fight and we will lose. But if we commit to what aligns us, if we stand together, steadfast and determined, then we stand a chance at saving the soul of our country. So let's march together. And at this point, we want everyone to take out your cell phone and text women to 40649. Sign up with us so that we can continue to work together. This is only day one in our united movement. So take out your phone and text women to 40649. Let's march.
The actress America Ferrara, the activist as well, speaking at this Women's March here in Washington, D.C., where thousands and thousands and thousands of people have gathered to protest the new Trump administration. We're told, by the way, the President Trump has arrived already at this prayer service in Washington at the National Cathedral. The Vice President is there as well. They have not yet walked in. They have not yet taken their seats. I want to go back to Jeff Zeleny outside the National Cathedral. We're balancing our coverage, Jeff, two very different events. The Washington Women's March, huge numbers here in Washington, and now this prayer service at the National Cathedral.
Indeed, well, from protest to prayer just across Washington, and President Trump and his family and quite a large motorcade came from the White House here to the National Cathedral in Northwest Washington just a short time ago. Several members of his family also will be at this event, Wolf, and this is a traditional moment of reflection and peace, but it certainly has all of the politics from the bitter and divisive campaign still infused in all of this. And President Trump will not be speaking here at the service, but he will be listening. And Wolf, I've been looking through the prayers and the readings that will be given in this hour-long or so service, and several of them hit directly on this divisive nature that we are seeing. So it will be fascinating to watch President Trump from his seat listening to these prayers. And Wolf, one of them that stuck out to me is by the Dean of the Washington National Cathedral, the Reverend Randolph Hollerith, and he's going to say this: look with compassion on the whole human family, but take away the arrogance and hatred which infect our hearts. Break down the walls that separate us and unite us in bonds of love to work through our struggle and confusion. And Wolf, there are several readings and prayers that go on to acknowledge the divisive nature, the divisive moment that Donald Trump is stepping into as he becomes the 45th president of the United States, Wolf.
I will have coverage of this prayer service at the National Cathedral. In fact, we're seeing some family members now walking in from the Trump family. There we see Don Jr. And his family walking in. We see Tiffany Trump and her boyfriend walking in as well. They'll be taking their seats. Eric Trump and his family are coming in as well. You see Secret Service personnel, obviously, at the same time. And presumably momentarily we'll see the President and First Lady, the Vice President, Karen Pence. They will be walking in as well to participate in this interfaith service at the National Cathedral. We're going to have extensive coverage of that coming on. I want to bring in our panel as we watch these events unfolding right now. Let's see who's walking in right now. There we see, it looks like Ivanka Trump is walking in with her 3 kids, and Jared Kushner, who will be a senior advisor to the president in the White House. Ivanka Trump is there, and Jared Kushner are there. Jared Kushner is Jewish. Ivanka Trump converted to Judaism, and both of them are very observant. They are attending this interfaith prayer service as well. Let's get some analysis. We've got a good panel here as we watch the news unfold. Max Steyer is joining us. He's president and CEO of Partnerships for Public Service. David Urban is with us, president of the American Continental Group, a major Trump supporter. Maria Cardona is here, our CNN political commentator, Democratic strategist, and David Gergen, our CNN political senior political analyst, former presidential advisors to Presidents Nixon, Ford, Reagan, and Clinton. David, as we see these live pictures coming in from the National Cathedral, this tradition, a prayer service, it goes back to George Washington. So the new president is honoring this tradition as we see more people arriving. It looks like the vice president, Mike Pence, and his wife Karen, they are walking in right now as well, and I'm sure they will be followed by the president and the first lady.
Well, if these traditions that we saw unfold yesterday are something, I think it does bind us together as a people and binds us across time. So I think it's good that the president, he has such a large contingent there. But when he comes out the door, he has to be aware similarly of the large crowds of women who are gathering here. There's a buoyancy and an unexpected size of crowd. It almost feels like a second inaugural going on, right in our midst the day after. And I think it really points up to the enormity of what the president faces in trying to bring us together.
Very different pictures, images we've been showing, Maria. We've been showing the women who are here, and a lot of men who are demonstrating, marching on Washington. We just heard America Ferrara speak. Others will be speaking as well. Hillary Clinton, by the way, she just tweeted a few minutes ago, "Thanks for standing, speaking, and marching for our values. Women's March, important as ever. I truly believe we're always stronger together." Bernie Sanders tweeted, "Congratulations to the women marching today. We must go forward to ensure full reproductive justice for all women." Hashtag Women's March. Very different images. The prayer service we're watching, Maria, and the Women's March.
I think that's right, but I think that there is a unifying thread that goes through it. If we heard what Jeff Zeleny was reporting, even the things that the interfaith religious leaders were talking about was exactly what we all want in this country, which is to bring people together, to stop the arrogance, to stop the divisive nature of what this whole campaign has been about. And frankly, what so many people, up to now they're estimating 500,000 people that are going to gather on the Mall, what they believe was divisive rhetoric led by Donald Trump these past 18 months, and the fact that he hasn't done anything to unify the country, including in his inauguration speech yesterday. So I think that is, again, underscores, to David's point, the huge challenge that Donald Trump is walking into in his presidency. And up until now, I don't think the folks that have felt left out because of the divisive nature of his rhetoric, they haven't seen or heard anything from him that says that he really wants to be the president of everybody.
Well, David Urban, I'm sure you disagree with that. You were a major supporter of Donald Trump, still are a major supporter. You helped him carry the key state of Pennsylvania.
Wolf, and Maria, I disagree. I think that President Trump intends to be the president for all. I think today is a celebration of American values. You have the prayer service on one hand, and on the Mall you have hundreds of thousands of Americans exercising their First Amendment right.
I'm going to interrupt you for a moment. There you see the President of the United States walking in with the First Lady of the United States. They're walking in. Everyone has stood in honor of the president. You know what? Let's just listen in. Maybe we can catch a word or two.
Is your nice clean? Is your nice clean? Is your nice clean? Is your nice clean?
sure that we had clean air, clean water, and healthy communities. Those Earth Day marches led to a generation's worth of environmental progress that has improved and literally saved the lives of millions. It is proof that people engaging in our democracy can lead to real change. Just look at today. It was one woman in Hawaii who suggested that women should march during the inauguration. And look at us now. 500,000 people strong. One woman one march turns into an entire movement. That is a powerful thing. And it means as strong and as tough as this administration thinks it is, we will always be stronger. And even if it doesn't feel that way, this president works for us. So let's prove that our natural world belongs to no single individual. That clean water has no political party. That no corporation owns clean air. And let's never forget that one person, one rally, one march, one movement can make all the difference in the world. Thank you all so much.
Ready? Hi, everyone. My name is Vanessa Rubel. I'm one of the co-founders of the Women's March on Washington and head of campaign operations. Woo, it's a lot up here. There's a sea of women in front of me and a sea of women in back of me and a sea of women on all sides. It just goes to show we are our own best hope. We can only move forward together. This is my partner.
I'm Ginny Suss, producer for the Women's March on Washington. And I'd like to introduce my hero, feminist icon, Gloria Steinem.
You could see yourselves. It's like an ocean. Okay, I need to be short, okay? Okay. Dear friends, sisters and brothers, all of you who are before me today and in 370 marches in every state in this country and on 6 continents. Those who will be communing with us at 1 p.m. and 1 at 1 in a silent minute for equality in offices, in kitchens, in factories, in prisons, all over the world. I thank each of you, and I especially want to thank the hardworking visionary organizers of this woman-led inclusive march, one of whom managed to give birth while she was organizing this march. Who else can say that? Thank you for understanding that sometimes we must put our bodies where our beliefs are. Sometimes pressing send is not enough. And this also unifies us with the many in this world who do not have computers or electricity or literacy, but do have the same hopes and the same dreams. I think that because I and my beloved co-chairs, the Golden Oldies, right? Harry Belafonte, Dolores Huerta, LaDonna Harris, all these great people, we may be the oldest marchers here today. So I've been thinking about the uses of a long life. And one of them is that you remember when things were worse. We remember the death of the future with Martin Luther King, with Jack Kennedy, with Bobby Kennedy, with Malcolm X. Without those deaths, for instance, Nixon would not have been elected, and there would not have been many of the wars we have had. Now, our great leaders like Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are still with us. And remember how much we feared they might not be, and how much threat there was, in fact, on their lives. And they are with us. And now our honored Bernie Sanders is still with us. And not only with us, but he's focusing on economic justice and achieving free universal college education in my state of New York, right? And now Hillary Clinton is alive. And definitely not in jail. She who told the whole world that women's rights are human rights and human rights are women's rights. So crucial when collectively violence against females in the world has produced a world in which for the first time there are fewer females than males. I'm not trying to deny the danger that this day initiates. Trump and his handlers have found a fox for every chicken coop in Washington, and a Twitter finger must not become a trigger finger. Some very experienced doctors of the American Psychiatric Association have publicly written to warn us that, and I quote, his widely reported symptoms of mental instability, including grandiosity, impulsivity, hypersensitivity to slights or criticisms, and an apparent inability to distinguish between fantasy and reality, lead us to question his fitness for the immense responsibilities of the office, unquote. This was on full display in his inaugural address yesterday. Everything that happened before him was a disaster, and everything that he would do would be fantastic, the best ever, miracles, and all the superlatives. He also said he was with the people. Indeed, he was the people. To paraphrase a famous quote, I just want to say, I have met the people, and you are not them. We are the people. Just this march in Washington today required 1,000 more buses than the entire inauguration. 1,000 more. And I was just talking with people from our many sister marches, including the one in Berlin, and they asked me to send a special message. We in Berlin know that walls don't work. And remember Poland, where last month the government passed an anti-abortion law and 6 million women turned out in the streets and they had to change it. We are the people, we have people power, and we will use it. You try all the power that you tried to eliminate. For instance, you tried to eliminate the Congressional Ethics Committee. You had to reinstate it, right? Because of people power. Because this is the upside of the downside. This is an outpouring of energy and true democracy like I have never seen in my very long life. It is wide in age, it is deep in diversity, and remember, the Constitution does not begin with I, the President, it begins with we, the people. So don't try to divide us. Do not try to divide us. If you force Muslims to register, we will all register as Muslims. I know that there are women here from corporations and media and all kinds of places that make it kind of risky for you to say what you care about, what you feel, and what you support. And there are women here, I know, who have survived a national and global sex industry that profiteers from body invasion. We are united here for bodily integrity. If you cannot control your body from the skin in, you cannot control it from the skin out. You cannot control your lives, our lives. And that means the right to decide whether and when to give birth without government interference. We are here and around the world for a deep democracy that says we will not be quiet, we will not be controlled, we will work for a world in which all countries are connected. God may be in the details, but the goddess is in connections. We are at one with each other. We are looking at each other, not up. No more asking daddy. We are linked. We are not ranked. And this is a day that will change us forever because we are together. Each of us individually and collectively will never be the same again. When we elect a possible president, we too often go home. We've elected an impossible president. We're never going home. We're staying together. And we're taking over. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Make sure you introduce yourselves to each other and decide what we're going to do tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, and we're never turning back. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Teresa Shook. I'm the one who's...
Maybe it started like any other day. Maybe the weather was perfect for a motorcycle ride. Maybe you were having fun. And maybe the other driver was texting and pulled out in front of you. I'm Ryan Montgomery.
And we can't give up. And we have to keep fighting. And I want to give a shout out to my state of Hawaii, the state of aloha, and diversity. And to my family, to my granddaughters who inspired me to do this so that they can grow up and have opportunities available to them equal to everyone else, for all women. And equal rights for all people. Thank you to everybody who's here who made this possible.
My name is Bob Bland, and I'm the co-founder and co-chair of the Women's March on Washington. I'm up here on the podium with my daughter today, Chloe, who's only... And the reason why is because the birth of this march also coincided with the birth of my daughter. And I want my daughter and my other daughter, Penny, who's 6 years old, to know that women, when we come together collectively, we can transform the world. We are breaking down the walls between each other today and standing united in solidarity for our rights and for the rights of the most marginalized among us. Out of this grassroots movement, we have over 600 sister marches worldwide. And 3 million people around the globe marching with us today. In a phone call early on with our state and national organizers, Elder Bernice King told us that the Women's March is a pivotal opportunity for us to be at the forefront of healing, birthing, and elevating the consciousness of this nation. Together, we will show a new face of America, a spectrum of color, consciousness, and inclusion like never before. Yeah. When we march to the White House in a few hours, it won't be the end. This is just the beginning of a movement we are co-creating together with women at the center of it. And I want you to know, standing up here today, that any of you can be an activist, any of you can be an organizer, because before this march began, I had never done anything like this. So you can do it too. I beg you to go back to your local communities, to partner up with people that you've never talked to before, to have conversations here today that you would have never experienced otherwise, and for that to galvanize you over the next 18 months and the next 4 years. The first 100 days of this administration are a critical time for our voices to be heard. So I want you to start with one simple first step. We want you to write a postcard to your elected officials and community leaders at the federal, state, and local level about what matters to you most and how you're going to continue to fight in the days, weeks, and months to come. There will be volunteers handing out postcards at the finish line of this march, and we'll have them available for anyone to print online. Our lives, bodies, and freedoms are at stake, and so are the safety and vitality of our communities. Our elected officials need to hear about it from you. This is just the first of 10 actions we're going to take collectively in the first 100 days of this administration. Tomorrow isn't about hanging up your marching boots. It's time to get your friends, family, and community together and make history. Join us in sending a powerful message to this new administration at womensmarch.com/100 and never stop fighting for justice.
Ain't no justice 'cause the
Okay, thank you. 4 minutes, stations, 4 minutes. They're rocking it, man. I'd say, they're killing it, right?
I think I might too, so I'm trying to like relax. Want to be hypnotized?
I know, right? It's kind of hard not to move with the music. Three minutes out, stations.
He's trying to hypnotize.
3 minutes. The baby eating the sign is cute. All right, Atlanta, we're about to have another medical come through here, just so you know. We can see them coming through. It's just because we're set up near the tent, and it just is what it is.
Be careful.
Give an inch, you're gonna, all right? 2 minutes, stations, 2 minutes.
They took advantage of those.
They sure did.
That's not what worked out.
No, it shouldn't be. See, it's the nicest unruly crowd you'll ever deal with, right?
I apologize for their unruly.
She was on the verge of a panic attack for like 10 minutes anyway, so yeah.
How you doing?
1 more hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
The importance of, especially when there's a protest and march, like, we need to be on a riser. Like, this on-the-ground shit just doesn't work.
No, it only works for roving and shooting a package. It's really challenging. And I realize they're great pictures.
I get it, yeah, but it's better on the riser. Like, there needs to be, like, a complete separation.
Okay. Are we doing the donut again right after? Oh no, we have us and then Ontario comes in, right?
Oh, look at the tent.
If you got the time.
Welcome to the High Life.
This is up on the stage. Gloria Steinem actually spoke. As far as the eye can see, we have pink hats, signs. It's interesting how many different groups and people and interests are represented in this Women's March on Washington, D.C. At this point, we have no idea what the crowd size is. I know there were estimates that there could be in excess of 200,000. That remains to be seen. I spoke to several of the marchers earlier today. Here's what some of them had to say.
I want my daughters to have all the same rights that I have. Be able to walk down the street or get a job and with all the comfort that I have when I...
In the universe. Keep shining, yo. Climbing poetry, people. Climbing poetry.
Women's Roundtable. How you doing? While we march to declare we are ready for the fight. We, the Black Women's Roundtable, Black Youth Vote, National Action Network, and all of our sisters in the movement stand in solidarity with all of you, 300,000 strong. And we are here to declare we are America. We will stay woke, and we will not be moved. We march in memory of our sister ancestors, Dr. Dorothy Irene Height, Dr. Cedar Lawrence Tucker, Shirley Chisholm, Willie Barrow, Evelyn Lowry, Amelia Boynton, Fannie Lou Hamer, and Sojourner Truth. We march in memory of my mother, Janet Campbell, who was a retired public school teacher in Mims, Florida, and all our mothers and fathers to protect our neighborhood quality public schools across our nation. We march for Black women who voted 94% for Hillary Clinton. Who, by the way, won 3 million votes over her opponent. And they say she lost the Electoral College. We march, and I need your help on this one, my sisters and my brother. We march even for the 53% of white women who voted for that other guy. To reflect and join us, all of us, moving forward to break that glass ceiling, to elect the first woman president of the United States of America, and appoint a Black woman to the Supreme Court in our lifetime. While we march to protect Obamacare, Medicare, Social Security for our seniors, Medicaid for people living in poverty, and we march for the human right to control our own bodies. We march for the human right to just live. We march for living wages, paid sick days, and paid family leave. We march to protect Black colleges and Black businesses, voting rights, LGBTQ rights, immigrant and disability rights. And we march for freedom of religion and freedom of the press. We march to send a message to the White House, Congress, state and local politicians that we are united and we will not be moved. So before they cut the mic off on me, I want you to do this, repeat after me. We march for women's rights. We march for human rights. We are ready for the fight. We march for the least of these God's children. And we march because love trumps. Thank you, march organizers, my sisters and my brothers. Peace and power.
Good morning. I'm Rosalind Brock, and I chair the National Board of Directors of the NAACP, an organization whose principal founder was a white woman named Mary White Overington. The NAACP stands with you today in solidarity. As a nonpartisan organization of over 500,000 members across the length and breadth of this nation, in 50 states, Germany and Japan, to declare that women's rights are human rights. We send a message to our new government that we will not stop until women enjoy equal status. Throughout the history of this nation, women have worked to achieve full civil rights
and has served as a conscience of this nation. In 2008, 2012, and 2016, Black women exercised the right to vote larger than any other group in this nation. However, despite our best efforts, we learned a hard lesson in this last presidential
Oh my God, I'm losing brain cells.
Elections have deep and lasting consequences, especially for those who do not vote. The silence in America has been deafening for Black women and our families who also feel forgotten and locked out of a prosperous society. For centuries, we've been overlooked and most oftentimes left behind.
Say what?
Movement to advance women's rights. And so I call upon you, my sisters, in the words of my ancestral Shiro Sojourner Truth. Ain't I a woman? As authentic change agents for transformation, we must stand united to oppose the president's nominees for U.S. Attorney General, Secretaries of Education, Health and Human Services, and Labor. We must also fight to ensure that the rights gained by women, minorities, the LGBTQ community, and immigrants are not destroyed by an administration that seems bound and determined to take this nation back to a place where we are a house divided against ourselves. And so, my sisters, I ask you today, as we face the rising sun of a new day begun, let us boldly declare to this administration and to this nation that we will organize, we will fight, and we will march on till victory is won. Because courage will not skip this generation. Courage will not skip this generation. Courage will not skip this generation. Peace and power.
I just got handed a public service announcement. If everyone will take out their phone and text women to 40649. That's women to 40649. I did this before I got on stage.
Oh, hold on, wait.
If you take a moment and text women to 40649.
I got it.
And we can be in touch.
Oh, damn it, I dropped it. I'm trying. Hold on.
Once you're done sending your email, raise your phone so your neighbors know that you'd like to be a part of this card.
Oh, damn, I dropped it. I couldn't get it out. I'm sorry. My bad.
And now let me tell you who I am. I'm not just your commercial break. My name is J. Babalota. I am the executive director of the Estrella Lesbian Foundation for Justice.
Did she? Hold on. She say her name was J. Bob Olota?
And for 40 years, Estrella has been on the front line supporting LGBTQI activism in the United States and around the world.
She looks rough.
But I am not here to talk to you.
She's looking really rough.
I'm here to talk to you about today, right now. We may be here because of someone or something we did not choose, but today we did choose to show up, to stand up, to march, to gather together. That is what this time is about, what we are going to choose.
What are they choosing?
In a week from now, a month from now, 4 years from now, we will have been inundated by messaging, not just tweets, but a barrage of policy and public sentiment, images and articles, subtle and overt shifts, and our values and our choices will be tested.
See that guy in the background? I gotta get me a hat like that. Hold on.
Months and years to come, we will need to become our own collective moral compasses. We will need to become our own North Star. So when you look around here all day long and you are moved by the beauty and diversity and passion of all the folks around you, remember this: we chose to come together today in all of our power. We do not and we will not choose one neighbor over another. We do not and we will not choose to deny our queerness, our lesbian, gay, or trans.
Okay, I got it. Got it.
In order to be in a march for women or a country for everyone.
It's the only pink hat I could find, guys. I'm sorry.
The beauty and power and joy in our blackness and brownness, as if it will make us safer or any more sane in a country that has proven otherwise over and over again. We will not hide behind our whiteness because of the vestiges of privilege that to this day services a system meant to succeed the will and line the pockets of a few men who have us all believe there is superiority in our state just to keep us from knowing the power of truly being righteous community and shared humanity. We will not choose any one person's notion of God to define every single one of our divine possibilities.
I don't know.
And surely not our secular and public rules of law. We will not choose some of our rights over all of our rights. Because we choose to know better, to do better, to be better, and to love better. Now, let me talk to you about
Love better. She said love better. Got love better. You like my hat?
So what do you need with a big old queer like me? I think it is to talk about radical love. To stand here.
Wait a minute. We're allowed to use the word queer? I thought we weren't allowed to use that word.
Honest way possible for us all right now to commit to doing so. So let me queer our collective notion of love right now, so that every one of us will step past the easy, the scripted, the societally sanctioned, the familiar, the safe notions of love, and let us choose the pathway to not only the greatest possibility, but the greatest reward. We are not a fluke. This is not a singular phenomenon. We are fantastic and fabulous, and this is only the beginning. No, this is not a one-off. This is an uprising. This is an uprising of love. Say it. We are an uprising of love. We are an uprising of love. We are an uprising of love. Choose it every day.
I think we got off track, guys. Can we get back to the women's right thing?
Hello, Women's March on Washington. My name is Muriel Bowser, and I am the mayor of Washington, D.C. I want to welcome you all to your nation's capital and the best.
Oh, God. Now where are we going? Where are we going now?
And soon to be the 51st state. I wanted to be here to let you know that Washington, D.C. has a chick mayor. And I'm here to speak for all the women elected officials.
Wait a minute. Did she say 51st state? What happened to Puerto Rico? I thought they were going to become 51st state. I'm lost. I thought this was a women's rights march. I don't understand anymore.
Be it the school board, the state house, or a candidate for the president of the United States. And when women are more harshly, more frequently, and more wrongly criticized when we speak up for women in neighborhoods and families and public education, we need every woman and every man to speak up for us too. In Washington, D.C., we're a little unique. We're a city, a county, and a state. We are 680,000 people strong. Yet, we don't have a single vote in that Capitol building. And that injustice must end. Already, an emboldened Congress continues to threaten the rights of women. Year to year, they tell us we can't use our own money to support low-income women and their health care. And now they want to make it permanent. You tell them to leave us alone. Leave us alone. Leave us alone. So we know this Women's March on Washington. When the president needed help with that Congress, he counted on mayors. And mayors have to stand up for immigration rights, for reproductive rights, for LGBTQ rights. We have to stand up to fight climate change from the mayor's office. And we have to stand up for public education because that's what our kids need. So let me just say this, because this is what we tell the Congress, and this is what you should tell them from your states. The best thing the federal government can do for us is leave us alone.
We today, of every color, creed, and belief, are gathered here in a demonstration of the American story. Today, you might feel scared, and I know what it feels like to be scared. My name is Amanda Wynn, and I am a rape survivor. And I remember after my rape, I felt despair, but I also felt fire. So when I met a broken criminal justice system, like so many survivors who find out that their untested rape kits can be destroyed, I rewrote the law. Together with a team called Rise, we organized and we did the impossible. We passed the Sexual Assault Survivors Bill of Rights unanimously through Congress. I wrote it as a matter of survival. And if that bill could speak, it would scream. It would sing from the pages, it would light itself on fire. And it represents the endless pursuit of a more perfect union. That is what I did with my fire.
Yeah, and then their air conditioning quits working. They call us, and oh, I got asthma while there's chain smoking Newports that cost $6 a pack. They fucking bump their heads.
But here's what I learned. In America, no one is powerless when we come together. No one can make us feel invisible when we demand to be seen. To any survivor and ally listening, you are not alone. Wherever you are from and whatever brings you here today, do not lose hope. Don't just march. Go home and join the movement at risenow.us. That's risenow.us. State by state, we need you. Our presence here is the promise of America, and we are planting seeds to trees we may never sit under. But today, 1 million heartbeats are marching together. Our souls are on fire. Keep that fire ablaze. Remember your power. We who have fire in our bones, we unbreakable, unconquerable souls, rise. Let me hear you say it. Rise. 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 Rise up. Thank you.
I have to make an announcement. Please pay attention just for 1 second. Kate Stroud from Charlotte, North Carolina, who is blind, has been separated from the people that she came with. She's in all black. She has a pink hat, a pink backpack, a pink cane. If you came with Kate Stroud, she is on stage right. Come to the back of the stage. Again, Kate Stroud to the back of the stage. We have her. She's safe.
I see her. She's right there. She's all black, pink hat, right there. Wait a minute. She's right there. No, she's right there. Oh, shit. There she is.
Hello. Unbelievable. Look at this. I can't even see the end of the crowd.
Is that Michael Moore? Oh shit, Michael Moore showed up.
We're gonna have a million people here today. Look at this. My name is Michael Moore. Okay, we got through day one. We're in day 2 now of the Trump tragedy. Who wants to be in my next movie here? So I woke up this morning, picked up the Washington Post, and the headline read, "Trump takes power." I don't think so. Here's the power. Here's the majority of America right here. We are the majority. New president vows to end American carnage.
Oh my God. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm losing brain cells the more I watch this, really. I need to get back on my game. I really do. I need to get games going.
I'll pick that up later. Recycle. A reporter asked me on the way upstairs here, what do you hope to accomplish with this demonstration? I said, well, I would say, if you just look that way, we've already accomplished it. The majority of Americans did not want Donald J. Trump in the White House. And we are here today as their representatives. Okay. I don't want to give the standard demonstration speech. You got a lot of great speakers here today. Oh my God, I got to listen to Gloria Steinem. How cool was that? I would like to give you a to-do list. of what we all can do starting immediately. Real things that we can do. Are you with me on this? I'm going to go through them very quickly. Take notes if you want, but I'll post them on my Facebook and Twitter, and you can follow it there. But we have to get busy, folks. We've got our work cut out for us. Number one, this is what I want you to do. I want you to make this part of your new daily routine. I want you to call Congress every single day. Every day. Each of you have one representative in the House and two senators. They have a phone number. I'm going to give you that number right now. Are you ready? It's easy to remember. 202 225 3121. Can you repeat that with me? Ready? 202 225 3121. Now you do it. Go. When are we going to do that number? When are we going to tell them? Every day. That's right. Every day. It's so easy, my friends. If you're watching this at home, there's a human being that answers the phone. They pick it up. Even if you don't know who your member of Congress is, just give them your zip code. They'll connect you to the office. It's that easy. It'll take 2 minutes. Each day, I and others are going to be posting things for you to call.
They didn't answer. I got no answer. It just rang.
Tell your senators, and you get them at the same number, we do not accept Betsy DeVos as our Secretary of Education. 202 225 3121. I will post, this is my commitment to you. Every day, I will post something on Facebook or Twitter. Other groups are doing the same thing. Actiongroups.net.
Hold on. 202 225 3121.
Lots of groups are doing this. Follow them and call your member of Congress, call the two senators, and you know what?
It's the wrong number, guys. It's the wrong number. They lied to us.
2 days, call your state representative and your state senator on the other day. I'm telling you, these calls work. When they tried to get rid of the government, the Congressional Office of Ethics, 2 weeks ago, we got online and the switchboard was jammed and overloaded. We shut it down with phone calls. 2 hours later, they pulled back from closing the Office of Government and Congressional Ethics. That's how powerful you are. Make it part of your daily routine. What are you going to do? Wake up, number one. Number two, brush your teeth. Number three.
Yeah, I like to order a large pepperoni and extra cheese pizza. Yes. Yes.
Number five.
Yes. How long? 30 minutes? No, that's not good enough. That's against my women's rights. I need it in 20 minutes. All right, thank you.
The second thing I'm going to ask you to do, join. Join groups. Join Planned Parenthood. Join the ACLU. Join NARAL. Join a group. I was thinking this morning while I was writing this up, I've supported Planned Parenthood forever. I contribute to them. I've done fundraisers for them. But I realized I've never joined. So this morning, I joined Planned Parenthood. Who amongst you will join Planned Parenthood? ACLU, NARAL, the environmental groups. Join every group. Let's make these groups huge. Huge. Bernie, huge. Number three, you need to form your own personal rapid response team. All it takes is 5 to 10 family members and friends, the people that you're going to call or text or send an email to on any given day where we have to move fast. Everybody here, who will form a rapid response team? 5 to 10 people. Earlier, there's a group here, there's a rapid response team here from Asheville, North Carolina. 9 of them. Where are you? The Asheville 9. They've got their own name. The Asheville 9. And I said to them, how many of you have been to a demonstration before in D.C.? 8 of the 9 had never been to a protest before in Washington, D.C. 8 of the 9 are new for the first time. How many here are here for the first time in D.C. at a look at this, at a protest? Look at this. Wow. Number 5. We have to take over the Democratic Party. God bless the Democrats who fought with us, who've done so many good things. It's no knock on them. But if you were coaching the women's basketball team, twice in 16 years, my friends, we've won and then lost. We've let this happen twice now in 16 years, where we win the White House, but they walk through the door. Are you gonna let this happen again in your lifetime? I'm not. I'm sorry, but the old guard of the Democratic Party has to go. It has to go. We need new leadership. We need young leadership. We need women leadership. We need people of color. We need gay and lesbian and bisexual and transgender. I support Keith Ellison as the new DNC chair. He is a great organizer and our only Muslim member of Congress. Number 6, to you from the blue states and the blue cities, don't feel alone. You have a job to do. We're going to look to you over these next, let's just say, months. I heard on the radio this morning that Las Vegas has already placed odds on how long Trump's going to last in office. They only give him 4-to-1 odds to last only 6 months. That's pretty good. You have to form regions of resistance. What that means is this. For the young people, let me give you a little history lesson. Roe v. Wade, that made abortion legal in this country in 1973, did not happen in a vacuum. It did not happen by itself. It happened because our 2 largest states in 1970, 3 years earlier, made abortion legal. New York and California. Because abortion was legal in those 2 large states for 3 years, they helped to create the new normal. The new normal being a woman has a right to control her internal organs and what goes on in there. It's not the job of the government. So, New York, you have a job to do right now. California, Minnesota, Massachusetts, actually all of New England, the entire West Coast, you're a region of resistance. Virginia, you're a region of resistance. In Virginia, this is how we take back the South. We start in Virginia. Form your region of resistance. And what you have to do in these states, you have to create laws that show the rest of the country what it looks like to have health care for all. What it looks like to not have mass incarceration. What it looks like to pass laws that prohibit discrimination in employment for gays and lesbians and others.
I'm wearing a pink hat. I thought this was about women's rights. He's off subject, just a little off subject, man.
You live in Detroit. God, that's painful to say that Michigan is a red state. But you live in a blue city in Michigan. You live in Traverse City, Michigan, a little town. Bernie got 70% of the vote in that little town. Form your region of resistance there. Say to the people in power, you are not going to come to my city and take my Mexican brothers and sisters away. I will stand in front of you.
Did he say Mexican brothers and sisters?
Peacefully. The other night I asked 30,000 people in New York City, who will join me to block the George Washington Bridge, the Holland Tunnel, and the Lincoln Tunnel if the federal government comes to take our Mexican brothers and sisters away? 30,000 people say, I will do it. You have to be willing to put yourself on the line. It's that important. The next thing on the to-do list, you have to run for office. You, yes, you. I can see your faces. No,
Me?
No, Mike. Not me. I'm shy. This is not the time for shy people.
Yes, yes. He told me to run for president.
To get over it. If you knew me, seriously, if you knew me personally, you have no idea how shy and what an introvert I am. I know it doesn't make any sense me saying that, but if you knew me, anybody know me back there? How true is this? When I was 18 years old, I was a senior in high school.
Yes, yes.
And I stand the principal, or the assistant principal, in their backward ways. I decided to run for school board. I was only 18. I called up the city clerk. I said, what do I got to do to run for school board? He said, well, you need to get names on a petition. Oh, how many names do I need on the petition to run? 20. 20? To run for school board? 20. I'm like, I know 20 stoners who will sign anything. I got the 20 signatures. I ran. I won. I became the first 18-year-old in the state of Michigan to win public office. I did this. I'm shy. I only went on 2 dates in high school. I did this. You can do this. Who's going to run for office? Run for city council. Run for school board. Hey, okay. Wait. Shy people, there is an office for you. Precinct delegate. Run for precinct delegate. You only have to go to the county convention once a year. Who's going to run for precinct delegate? All right. Next on the to-do list. When we take over the DNC. Oh
Michael.
Ashley.
My name is Ashley Judd.
Ashley Judd is here.
And I am a feminist. And I want to say hello to Independence Avenue in the back, all the way down to 17th Street.
Wow.
And I bring you words from Nina Donovan, a 19-year-old in Middle Tennessee, and she has given me the privilege of telling you what she has to say. I am a nasty woman. I'm not as nasty as a man who looks like he bathes in Cheeto dust. A man whose words are a diss track to America. A electoral college sanctioned hate speech contaminating this national anthem. I'm not as nasty as Confederate flags being tattooed across my city. Maybe the South actually is gonna rise again. Maybe for some, it never really fell. Blacks are still in shackles and graves just for being black. Slavery has been reinterpreted as the prison system in front of people who see melanin as animal skin. I am not as nasty as a swastika painted on a pride flag. And I didn't know devils could be resurrected, but I feel Hitler in these streets. A mustache traded for a toupee. Nazis renamed the cabinet electroconversion therapy, the new gas chamber, shaming the gay out of America.
Well, guys, I'm sorry. I can't listen to it no more. I'm sorry I put y'all through that for the last 3 hours. I apologize. I am so sorry. I can't listen to it no more. I gotta take the bowl off my head. This is my cereal bowl, by the way, guys. Cereal bowl. I apologize. I'm sorry. I could not. Yes, I cannot. I couldn't. Here we go. It's not working. I can't do it. It don't work. But anyway, guys, thank you for spending some time with me and chilling on this boring Saturday. I am going to set things back up. I'm gonna play. I think I'm gonna go back with Assassin's Creed for a little while. I might get some of my GTA, the account that I'm raffling off. If you have not heard about that, check back in my previous streams, guys. If you're watching for this, whatever this Women's March thing was that really had nothing to do with Women's March, because I didn't really hear nothing about women's rights. I just heard a bunch of, I don't know what it was, really, to be honest. I couldn't keep up with it, and I can't watch it no more. I can't do it. I'm going to run to the store. I'm going to get me some caffeine, and then we're going to get into some gameplay. Something to take our minds off all the bullshit that's going on, because I just don't know. I couldn't listen to her no more, because she was, I don't know. I couldn't. So, guys, I'm sorry about that. But anyway, check me here in a little while. I got some great, exciting things coming. Well, not really great, and probably not really exciting, but anyway, just stay tuned, guys. It's all good, man. Guys, peace out. I'll see y'all in here in a little while. Wait, I forgot one more thing. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, and dislike, please. You need to hit the thumbs down on this video. Yes, I am saying hit thumbs down, because it blows my mind how incredibly stupid some people can be. So anyway, guys, if you would, hit that subscribe button, and we're going to get to some gameplay, either Fallout 4, Assassin's Creed, some GTA, maybe some Dirt. I don't know. I got quite a few games lined up. I'll leave that up to you guys. Just drop me a comment on what I should, what we should play, and we're gonna have us a fun Saturday afternoon, because Saturday morning just really sucked. I don't even know what I was thinking with that, and I just want to apologize again. But anyway, guys, I'm going for real this time. Peace out. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to wear your pink hat. Support whatever they were talking about, because they were wearing a lot of pink. Alright, peace. Wait, one more thing. Never mind. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Y'all have a good day.